Autobots, transform and roll out.
All right. Well, good morning to you. It's Friday. We made it in. You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. That would be me. I'm Mark, and it's good to have you in here today. Kim St. Ange, you made it back for a second day in a row, and we're very thankful for that. You feeling better today?
Sort of.
Sort of. You're
Yeah,
still affected.
A little bit. Yeah, my stomach's just a little bit off today.
Wow. That was a whole. I don't.
So it's a week-long thing, apparently.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That's awful.
We're okay. We're hanging in there. It's Friday.
I'm glad to hear that. Glad Kim is back with us, and we've got a fantastic Friday for you planned out here all through the morning. So we're very glad you're with us. We're going to get to Victoria Coates a little later from Heritage. We are going to talk to Dr. Bob Onder. He's in with us on the Capitol Beat this morning, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about the St. Louis Police Department and some of the comments that the mayor made on this radio station this week about compensation. I mean, benefit packages. You start messing with people's benefit packages, and they get a little touchy. I talked to several police officers yesterday who had some the kindest way to say it would be words that I can't repeat on the radio regarding her idea of cutting the benefits package that a lot of these police officers depend on. In speaking to them, I can tell you that a lot of them are longtime employees of the St. Louis City PD, and they've been underpaid for a lot of years. But the one thing they had to hang their hat on is that if they could make it to 20 years and retire, or however long they chose to stay, they have a pretty good benefits package once they retire. That's kind of what they've been looking forward to. And the mayor, if you missed it, what the mayor basically said was, we would increase their pay, but cut their benefits package. And we would give them an option, and it wouldn't affect anybody who's currently serving. We would do this for future people coming in to try to reduce the cost on the city. And we are going to have Joe Steiger from the St. Louis Police Officers Association on a little later today to talk about that. He's going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. And it's we're coming up on Guns and Hoses time again. We always do our Queen of Hearts drawing on Friday mornings. This morning we've got the ring announcer from Guns and Hoses, Joe Parisi, is going to join us as well to talk more about some exciting news for them from a national perspective. They're going to start getting a lot more national coverage for what they do here for Guns and Hoses each November. Plus, tickets are already on sale. Plus, we'll talk about that as well and the role we're going to play in the whole thing coming up in November. So I hope that people have an opportunity to hear that, and that'll be in the 8 o'clock hour today. So, hey, man alive, I'm just going to brag a little bit here. I just have to tell you, I made the really good decision to get my convertible out yesterday, and by the time I got home at 8 o'clock last night, that was the most perfect convertible weather you could ever hope for. It was maybe 75, kind of cool outside. Humidity was way down, and I just tried to savor it while on the drive home because I know what's coming next week.
It's been pretty great the last really few days.
Yeah.
We've had some awesome temperatures. And I was kind of talking about the whole Nepal situation yesterday and just saying, man, you want some perspective. It's like every time I think about wanting to complain about next week, I just think about what they're going through there in Nepal. And you have 90 plus Americans who are missing. You have 61 plus people who are dead, and more than 1,400, I think was the latest number I heard, or something around that, still missing. And that death toll is only going to climb. So I keep telling myself that when I want to think about next week, because I know we'll all be griping about the upper 90s next week.
Griping.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I did see, because my feed is now filled up with those the videos from Nepal of that wall of water rushing down that river. But the most impactful thing I saw yesterday, somebody went back to Google Earth and took the before and after pictures of sections of this river where you can see where the structures were. I mean, you can see over the years people built closer and closer to this river And the before and after, it was a reset. Like nature came along and reclaimed all of this land that had one time probably been a flood zone for situations just like that. And people, it hadn't happened in so long. We've done that here in the St. Louis area over the years, right? We built up levees upstream. It narrows the water. When there's a gush of water, it spreads out where it can. And people downstream tend to suffer from that. In this case, it was coming from a canyon, and it literally wiped these villages off the map. Like they're just gone. Where there was, 500 homes, there just aren't any homes anymore.
Yeah.
It's stunning to see what happened over there, and I feel so bad for those people. They can't, there are areas they can't get to except by helicopter.
Well, think if the images I've seen, I mean, where people are running and they're seeing the water coming, and it pours over them, and there's just no way that they would survive.
Kim,
weren't there people being found like 100 miles away,
I
like
heard
a stupid amount of distance away?
Hundreds of miles downstream. Yeah. It was very sad. I will say, Kim, they give me a lot of grief around here, particularly Richie, if he's on the feed this morning already, about my vacation time, which I enjoy. Thank you very much. But I've decided I'm going to add one more vacation this year, just so you know. Go ahead and put this in the calendar. I'm going to go sail Lake America. You want to go with me?
Sure. Now that it's official.
Wasn't that the greatest troll of all time yesterday? I thought when I first saw the headline, I thought, oh, he's just kidding. He's just trying to get in the brain of, just like he did in the Gulf of America. He's just trying to get in the brain of that Canadian prime minister and just mess with him a little bit. And he did. And then he went ahead and signed the executive order anyway, which I thought was one of the great trolls of all time.
So just like the Gulf of America, I guess they have to then change, like on Google Maps, we'll start seeing it say Lake America.
Well, we own the majority of that lake. Like the northern part of it is in Ontario. The southern part, the deepest part, and more than half of it is in America.
New York, right?
Yeah. And Kathy Hochul is, of course, she hates it because she hates Trump. She has Trump derangement syndrome, but she has no say over it. So on official U.S. maps, it would change to Lake of America. You can't control what the Canadians do.
I'm searching on my phone right now just to see if
see if it's changed already.
Yeah, I just was curious how quickly they would change. No, but still Lake Ontario.
Well, if you search Google, for example, that would be the Google bias. They're not immediately going to change something like that. Look at the Gulf of America and see if that's changed on your map.
No, I thought that they had changed that. Let me see.
Well,
no, Gulf of America is there.
Some people have changed it, and some people haven't. So. Anyway, I'm just teasing, but I would love to go visit it sometime just to get a picture by the sign.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised that this hasn't been done before. I mean, I know it's been like
whom?
that. I know it's been like that
who?
for a very, very long time, and there was really no reason to change it. This is just Trump stirring the pot. He's mad about the tariff situation, and so this is just him jabbing Carney. I'm really jabbing Canada as a whole.
He is so good at it. Wouldn't you hate to be in a negotiating a business deal with him?
He'd be
because he's going to win every time. He wins every time. He'll win this one too. I've got some great sound here because you have to remember there are portions of Canada that have tried to secede from Canada and would very much love to become the 51st state. The Alberta prime minister spoke out yesterday, and she didn't mince any words. She said, What Carney is trying to do to this country is disastrous. And then she spelled out why. That if we, like they send oil to our refineries, which we then sell some of it back to them, right? And then we use the rest of it. She said if we cut off that oil, because they could, the U.S. is just going to go get the same oil from Argentina. And then we don't have a customer for the pipeline that goes from Canada to the United States because they don't need us anymore. If we cut them off, we lose them as a customer forever. Don't do anything stupid like that, Mr. Carney. So he's got a lot of opposition up there in parts of Canada to this nonsense, this trade war that he's decided to escalate in a trade war he can't win, by the way. as an ankle biter. He cannot win that trade war. All right. We have speculated a bit too long. It's 16 after the hour. Ethan, let's go ahead and get to our national anthem. We'll get to the top short list and top stories when we come back.
We look great on the roads this morning. Happy Friday. And that's on the Missouri and Illinois sides both. So off to a good start at this hour. And of course, we have road work all over the place scheduled. And on 44 today in the city, 5 a.m. until 2 p.m., they're going to have 2 left lanes closed between Grand and Kings Highway. And that's been happening all week and causing some delays. But at this hour, things look fine. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The time now is 5:20, and this time check is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. Come on to Whim's coming up at 5:35.
a transgender woman should be able to play in women's sports because, like, yeah, they might have been a man before, but they're changing into a woman. So why not play a women's sport? Like,
they went out in New York, Kim, with a TV camera and asked people if they thought transgender women in sports was all right. And remember what we used to call man on the street? I used to call it AAA. Ask any blank hole. And that's exactly what they found. And the weird thing is most of the women thought it was okay, and all of the men thought it was the dumbest idea they'd ever heard in their life.
How many of you know we have a much deeper bench than the Democrats do for the presidential race, okay? Right? They're going to run Gavin, Kamala, Pete Buttigieg, or AOC for president of the United States. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, Mike Johnson yesterday talking about the bench. I guess they asked him who he was thinking might be the Republican presidential nominee in 28. We know who the favorites are, but he didn't go there. He just said, we have a deep bench, unlike the other side, who's going to run the same failed cast of characters again.
They want to talk about affordability. They voted to raise your taxes. They voted against the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history. Look at our border. The president inherited a mess, a wide-open border from the Democrats in the Biden administration. He sealed it on day one. We are deporting violent, illegal alien criminals from this country.
Man, I'm going to miss her. Can I just tell you that? Caroline Leavitt out chewing them up yesterday and spitting them back out on her final day as White House press secretary. No replacement has been named yet.
I would say that he's very talented. He's a very good friend of mine. I think he might do that, yeah.
That's the president yesterday on whether or not Ted Cruz will be running for president in 2028. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run again. I don't think he wins, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him run again.
Yeah, I could see him running, but I certainly don't think if you have J.D. Vance running, if you have Marco Rubio running, Ted Cruz just is not even going to come close. He'd be a very, very, very distant third, if anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably maybe if you run at that point, you're hoping for something lesser than maybe if Rubio becomes president or vice president, you need a new Secretary of State, or you need some position like that. Not out of the question. Kim, did you know that there was a lunar eclipse last night?
Yeah, I did know that, and I did not care enough to stay up to look at it.
Me neither. I really toyed with the idea. I remember covering the eclipse back in, 2017? We even went live out to one of the wineries. We took my midday show out there live the day it happened. Everybody had the sunglasses on. Well, this was a lunar eclipse last night. Apparently it started around 8:30, and its peak was to 11 or 11:30. You would have had to be out. It was a beautiful, clear night. I'm sure it would have been easy to see. I just didn't have enough interest in it. I'm sorry. I don't know how historic it was.
Maybe I'm a little bit of a Scrooge, but I feel like some of these things are hyped up and everyone goes out and, like you said, they get the glasses or they stay up late, and then it is kind of a nothing burger.
It's cool to see.
Yeah, but
you can understand.
But remember a couple years ago when they were talking about the solar eclipse, and we thought it was going to be like the one several years ago. And I remember sitting out there and I'm like, this is what I just waited for.
I mean, imagine how freaked out they must have been back before they understood what the hell that was. You look up and the moon suddenly, black. It's just covered up because of the Earth's shadow or whatever the case may be. I was driving. Did I mention earlier? I was driving my Corvette yesterday. I was driving my convertible, and I was coming back west, and the sun or the moon was so bright with the sunlight reflecting off the full moon. It looked like headlights. I several times thought somebody behind me had their brights on my rearview mirror.
Wow.
It was that bright. And I'm pretty sure I got home maybe 8:15, and I'm pretty sure that you could start to see just the edge of the darkness, the shadows starting to come over a portion of the moon as I went to bed. But again, I didn't have enough interest to lose sleep over it.
11 or 11:30, yeah.
To see the full thing, you would have had to wait up to, I think, that late.
I feel like that's one of the things where eventually I want to have my kids stay up late when they're older, and you can do that as a family and it's a fun memory. But right now, I just don't have enough of an interest. But again, maybe I'm a little bit of a Scrooge.
I'll ask this question now that we're into the second segment, and Paco has already chimed in, and I know he's still in the feed, and he's got a couple of fighters going to Guns and Hoses. I think that's great. Thank you, Paco. I'm going to talk sports for a minute. Kim, do you know the name Mark Mitchell?
Mm-mm.
So as a Mizzou fan, you should know that, because last year he was a senior and was one of the top power forwards in America. He really was a good player for Mizzou last year. And then he graduated. They hadn't changed the rule yet. He had no reason to think he could get another year of eligibility, and he tried out for several pro teams. And then in June, they changed the rules and said that kids from that time period could apply for an extra year of eligibility. So he came back, he applied for an extra year of eligibility, it was granted, and he signed on with the University of Kentucky, which pissed off a lot of Mizzou fans. And then yesterday, the SEC made the ruling that he's still not eligible to play because he didn't submit his name to the transfer portal last April, when the rules say you have to submit your name to the transfer portal in April or you're not eligible to transfer between SEC schools. Seems like a small point, given the fact that effective in April, he wouldn't have been able to do that because they didn't change the rule until June. So we're going to see what happens. Now the question is, well, then, would he be eligible to come back and play at Missouri if the SEC won't let him play at Kentucky? So it's given Mizzou fans a glimmer of hope that this guy who was really good for him last year might still be available.
But do you want him on your team, though, if he clearly doesn't want to be there? He wanted to play for Kentucky?
Well, if somebody offered, I mean, I know you make a lot of money here, but if somebody offered to double your salary, you might be interested in going somewhere else.
No, I love this so much, I would turn it down.
Mizzou offered him a paltry $3 million, and Kentucky doubled it to $6 million.
All right,
so of
fair.
course he wanted to go to Kentucky. I'm just saying, he was motivated by money.
Go Mizzou.
We'll be back.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh speaks on the economy today at the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Economic Summit. The job market appears stable. Inflation appears to be sticky. But does that warrant higher interest rates? Rob Thummel at Tortoise Capital says he'll be watching for how the Fed perceives higher oil and gas prices.
What data are they going to use for oil? Are they going to use today's prices? Or are they going to use the futures curve and potentially post-war curve, where we believe that oil prices can come back down, and as a result of that, we won't have as much inflation, and that probably warrants. Obviously, we'll see what direction that takes the Fed.
The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Survey for the end of the month is released today. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment.
Good morning. I'll tell you what, we've got a great Friday morning started, at least as far as the commute goes. We look great out there, and we're quiet through North County. It looks great all the way down into Jeffco. Quiet on the Illinois side and the Missouri side. Road work aplenty in this kind of weather. And on 44 in the city today, 5 a.m. until 2 p.m., they'll have the ramp from Grand to westbound 44 closed. So completely closed 5 a.m. until 2 p.m. today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, let's talk about, your foundation, the foundation of your home, the foundation of your life. You hear me talk about this a lot. I have only had this problem once as a homeowner, and it was a long, long time ago. But you lose sleep over it. You worry every time it rains, you're going to end up with water, in your basement. In my case, fortunately, it ended up being a drain issue, and I didn't have to have, major work done in the basement. But for a lot of people, you've got to get that crack fixed. You've got to get the drain tiles put in. You got to get a sump pump dug in your basement. And if you don't, you're going to continue having the problem over and over and over again. You don't know until you know, and that means you need to have Matt Hayes over from Home Shield Foundation Repairs to take a look at what's going on in your basement. I'm going to give you his phone number, and I'm going to tell you that right now he is offering some really great financing so you can get this job done and take your time paying for it. 314-271-9900. You put the call in. They'll come over and take a look. First of all, they're going to be honest with you. Some of these companies will try to beat you up. They're not going to do that. And then second of all, they'll get the problem addressed quickly. They'll hand you a lifetime warranty, and you go on with your life, and you don't have to have a panic attack every time we get an inch of water, right? Because that's going to happen again here before long as the seasons start to change. So call Matt today. Tell him I sent you over there. If you wonder what all they do, if it deals with your foundation, they can fix it. That's HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
All right, help me understand this, because I'm looking at the latest New York Times poll that talks about the 2028 Democratic presidential primary. Who are the, leading candidates for that? Who would you guess? Number one.
I would guess number one is either AOC or Kamala Harris, one of the two.
Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Okay, what's interesting is Kamala Harris is sitting at 29%, so let's just round up to 30. She's double in this latest poll Gavin Newsom, who is second at 16. So here's the order. It goes Kamala Harris, number one, Gavin Newsom, number two, Pete Buttigieg, who we were just talking about, AOC, who's now in the single digits, Josh Shapiro, and Mark Kelly.
Josh Shapiro it really disappointed me this week. I thought he might be, if there was a sane Democrat among that group you just mentioned, I thought maybe it might be Shapiro. And then he comes out railing against RFK for a measles outbreak. And then his own department admits afterwards there were, instead of 2 measles deaths, there was really only 1 measles death because the other one was a baby that had just been born who died, and he claimed measles caused its death, and the coroner said that was not the case.
Now,
baby hadn't even been vaccinated. Couldn't even be vaccinated till it was 12 months old.
Isn't that interesting? Did I not say that yesterday?
Yes.
I said, wait until we get more information, because they usually like to attribute, it was the flu. Oh, it was measles.
COVID.
Oh, it was COVID.
Oh, it was COVID. Yes.
And then we find out, no, actually the person was in a car accident, or they had a heart attack, or they had some other cancer, and they happened to have COVID, but it wasn't COVID that caused the death. I'm just not to, go off that track, because I have clearly strong feelings about it. But yeah, it's so infuriating. But I feel like if you're a Democratic candidate, you have to still show your crazy side, because you've got to make sure that your base is still there.
You've got to do that to win the primary. But it didn't work for Kamala last time.
But okay, so listen to the poll I just mentioned. New York Times latest poll just released yesterday, I believe. 29% Kamala Harris in a distant lead from Gavin Newsom. Okay, then I read this Daily Wire article talking about how no one wants Kamala's support when they're campaigning, and I don't understand that. If she's the leading, and I know this is all, no one even knows officially who's running, right? This is just speculation at this point. But if she's the leading candidate, it's a little surprising that many of these candidates across the country don't want her support. So, for example, Iowa Democratic Senate candidate Josh Turek, he rejected the idea of Harris campaigning for him. He was saying at a recent Cedar Rapids event about whether he would welcome the former vice president on the campaign trail, and he flat out said no.
Not in the general. In the general election in Iowa, he does not want the last biggest loser for the Democrats campaigning with him.
Well, but if she's still thought to be a potential contender for 2028 presidential, the actual president, he still doesn't want her support.
He doesn't want her support because he doesn't need her.
Well, but
every Democrat in Iowa will vote for him already. They're not going to vote for the Republican. He needs to convince some Republicans he's halfway sane, so he doesn't want her to be there to spoil the soup at all. He doesn't want her to be there to spoil the pot, so to speak. That makes perfect sense to me.
This Turek guy's not the only one who doesn't like the idea. There was another guy. This is a guy you've probably heard of, Rob Sand. In fact, he's running for governor in Iowa. He's a Democrat. I know him because I think he was a state law. No, I'm sorry. He's not treasurer. What is he right now in Iowa? I'm blanking. But point being, I mean, he's been in politics in Iowa. I used to live in Des Moines, so I knew the guy. I think I've interviewed him a handful of times. But anyway, he was asked about this recently, and Biden. Listen to how he responded.
Would you want to have Joe Biden here campaign for you?
No. Can he even do that right now? I'm sorry.
How about Kamala Harris?
No, thanks. Let's move on. We need some new leadership.
You don't think Harris should run in 2028?
Nope.
It's funny because he doesn't even think that she should run. It almost makes them more likable. And I don't get me wrong. Hold on. I am in no way saying I would support somebody with policies like Rob Sand, but I'm just saying I can at least appreciate when somebody's not saying, oh, no, Joe Biden, he's perfectly with it. I think that was what was so irritating is when the Democrats felt so loyal to their party and to Joe Biden and to Kamala Harris in this case, where they couldn't possibly acknowledge that there was some cognitive decline with Biden and that maybe he wasn't fit to be in that position, or that maybe Kamala Harris doesn't have strong enough stances on key issues that she's qualified to run for the office of president.
Well, she's not.
I
don't know how anybody could listen to a speech from that woman and support her.
Well, think about AOC. How can you listen to something from
I
AOC?
don't know.
Remember
They
when she
clearly don't
bombed?
care.
What was the thing she bombed? It was about foreign policy. It was just like, I hate to say it, but Darlene Graham, where she was asked a question a simple question. Now, do I know the answer to some of those questions that they've been asked? No. But am I running for Senate? No. So I don't have to know all the answers. I don't have to know all the answers to those things. You guys are running for office. You're asking for people to vote for you. So you should probably have an answer, which is why I was critical when Trump put his support behind Darlene Graham, because hate to say it, but I do think she got elected because of her name. There was some pity there because of what happened with Lindsey, her brother, and people felt like she, for some reason, was due that position. I don't agree with the fact that she was elected. From the little that I've seen with her debate, I didn't feel like she seemed qualified.
Maybe she will be a pliable option for them. In other words, they can tell her how to vote and she's going to do it.
Well, and that's what I worried about.
I don't know.
I mean, then that's just not the reason to get someone into office. I did remember I made that comment. I said I feel like maybe Trump likes it because he knows that she could be swayed a little bit.
Maybe, and as I've said before, Lindsey Graham was a mercurial politician. Over the years, there were a number of things he and I disagreed on. Number one, he was part of the Gang of Eight that fought for amnesty, and he was super good friends with John McCain, which automatically put some question in my mind about his choices. So he wasn't the ideal candidate. So I don't need another clone of Lindsey Graham in that seat, and I don't know. He at least stood up on some things. I don't know if she's got the wherewithal to do that or not. We'll find out.
She'll have pressure to have similar ideas that he had, because if she's elected and she knows hopefully she realizes that she got elected because she's family of Lindsey Graham, I think she's going to feel like she can't have her own ideas. I think she's going to feel like she has to be very loyal to Trump, and that she has to basically stick to what Lindsey Graham, his stance on things. I wanted to comment on something that somebody just texted in. It says, tell Kim AOC is the best looking female. That's what men like. All right, look, AOC is pretty. I'll give her that. I wonder how.
Sometimes.
No, she's pretty.
Sometimes. And sometimes she looks like she could eat corn through a picket fence.
No, she's attractive. I think the average person would find her attractive. I wonder how much that plays into people, because they say the more attractive you are, the more trustworthy people think you are. I mean, I'm not just making this up. There are several studies that back up what I'm saying.
Well,
so I wonder how much that plays.
You're right. Gavin Newsom looks like he came out of Central Casting, but then he opens his mouth.
No, but when he opens his mouth, he sounds so slick. Even though we know he's probably lying about half the stuff, he sounds really good. He knows what to say.
If you're picking your candidate by how they look, please don't vote.
That's probably fair.
If you're picking your NCAA team by the colors they wear, but please don't pick your NCAA team that way.
Although Julie won that way. So,
I know.
Twice.
I know.
I mean, I go back to Darlene Graham. People were saying that pretty quickly after they had said she was running. Remember, she kind of got a little bit zhuzhed up.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
That's one of the first things that they do.
Yeah.
They change your look. They make sure you've got the right style, because sadly, that's what people care about. They want to know that you look put together.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Kamala Harris is not getting much love from fellow Democrats. In fact,
but she is in the polling, which is why, how short term is the memory of most Americans? This is how short term it is. Listen, this is it. Listen, is it not? What have we done here? Here.
I'm listening really hard.
I want you to listen.
Passage of time, culture is it is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
As the name suggests, community banks are in the community.
I hope she runs.
That's not AI. That's the thing about it is you could really make somebody look stupid. You don't need to do that with Kamala Harris. There's just not a lot going on upstairs.
But I've always said that I think Kamala Harris is probably pretty smart to get to her. Now you can make the jokes about things
smart.
that she's done with other people, but to get to her role, I believe the woman is actually intelligent. She doesn't sound intelligent when she talks. There's a disconnect there. It's just like AOC. I think AOC is probably a pretty intelligent person. To get to where you are, you have to have something going on upstairs.
She's
But when she talks and the policies, it doesn't compute.
Okay.
Mark, turn that laugh off right now. We don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Oh.
Say a prayer every day that the last election turned out the way that it did. And let's hope that one is buried forever from political life. I hope that poll is wrong. I really pray that poll is wrong. Oh, by the way, there is something Gavin Newsom might be qualified for. We figured that out. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay tuned.
Good morning to you and a happy Friday. We look good on the roads. Things look great on eastbound 70. And really, that's from Wright City all the way into downtown. 6440 looks good. 44 is in good shape. Quiet on the Illinois side as well. So we really are off to a good start. Of course, there's road work scheduled again tonight on 70 out in St. Charles County. And from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. tomorrow, they'll have one east and westbound lane closed from Forestel through Wentzville. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The Canadian economy is in total and complete free fall. They have a cost of living crisis just like California, the worst in the G7, just like the state of California. They have an infrastructure crisis that is crumbling, a housing crisis just like California. They also have a legal and illegal immigration crisis just like California. So Gavin's going to be sitting pretty. But the list doesn't end there, Jesse. California has a poop crisis. You just mentioned that. And we looked it up before the show. Guess who else has a poop crisis? The major cities in Canada. Vancouver logged 20,000 human excrement poop fairy situations, is what they call it, just last year. So it's perfect. Gavin's going to be right at home.
Yeah, this guy Carney is not Canadian, apparently, but he's been elected the Prime Minister of Canada. So they think maybe Gavin Newsom's best shot at ever running anything would be to move north to Canada, where he could destroy the Canadian economy like he's destroyed California. It'd be perfect. I mean, most of those people up there are left loonies anyway.
Is there much to destroy in Canada?
Remember what they did to those truckers. There won't be after we're done with these tariffs. And that was driven home by the lady who's basically the prime minister. Doug Ford is the guy that runs Ontario, for example, that district, and this lady runs Alberta, and she came on yesterday and just read Carney the Riot Act. She said, "You've got to stop what you're doing. It's absolute insanity." She said, "What you're trying to do here is going to kill this country." And it gets back to what I talked about. When you're the 800-pound gorilla in the room, you can pretty much do what you want. That's the United States in these trade negotiations. And whatever Canada does back, short of you specifically having an invested interest in Canadian whiskey or lumber, the United States is not going to feel it. Listen to what she pointed out as a word of warning to Mr. Carney.
Policy decision than cutting off or taxing Alberta's oil to the United States. Doing so would absolutely devastate the Canadian economy. It would not only extinguish the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of Albertans, it would economically hobble our friends and neighbors in other provinces to the east. Let me explain why. And it's important that this be understood by every Canadian. If Canada were to put, let's say, a 50% export tariff on the 4 million barrels of oil that we export daily to the United States would immediately respond with a 50 to 100% export tariff on oil and natural gas that they export to Ontario, along with millions of barrels of diesel fuel and gasoline that Ontario and Quebec import from the Midwest. This would bring the economies of Ontario and Quebec to a grinding halt. Meanwhile, all those refineries in the United States that currently use Alberta's heavy oil would start looking to Venezuela for replacement heavy oil and reverse the pipelines northward to get it to Midwest refineries. As a result, we would lose the United States as a customer entirely and likely forever. This would result in the loss of about 500,000 jobs at a minimum, mostly in Alberta, but also hundreds of thousands of jobs in Ontario and Quebec.
Her point is, it took her a while to get to it there, but she said, if we do this, we risk losing America as a customer for our crude. We don't have refineries here. We don't have easy access to the coast. Our pipelines run into America, and then they pipe it back up to us. If that doesn't exist, if that customer's not there, what are we supposed to do with all this heavy crude that we're pumping out of the sand up here in Canada?
Well, so basically she's telling Carney, heads up, the United States here has the upper hand.
Why doesn't he know that? It gets back to what we talked about earlier this week. Carney's not doing what's in the best interest of Canada. He's doing the bidding of the globalists. He thinks he's taken on this mantra in his brain that he's the last line of defense and he's going to stop Donald Trump. And as you just heard the plain facts there's absolutely nothing Canada can do to us that's not going to be a lot worse for Canada. Listen to her. She continued this. Listen.
And if we cut off our oil entirely, what then? The same results, but even worse. The United States would, of course, respond and cut off all gasoline and diesel from their refineries to Ontario and Quebec, right as we turn into fall and winter. And unlike Canada, the United States has strategic oil reserves that Canada does not. So although their gasoline prices will increase, they will be able to keep them at relatively manageable prices, just as they have done through the Iran war. And without strategic oil reserves, Canada has no way to supply Ontario and Quebec with the oil, natural gas, and fuels that they would need in a timely fashion.
Thank you. You talk about an oil crisis. Canada is on the verge of facing one. So this Carney guy is just hoping, like our enemies in Iran, to ride out the clock to the midterms in hopes that Americans who paid no attention to anything but just hate Donald Trump will look at the Canada situation and say, oh, poor Canada. We need to give in to them. That's what he's hoping for. He's hoping to have some impact on the midterms by threatening to cut off oil supplies to Maine, where there's a big Senate race this time.
I think Carney knows the United States has the upper hand. He's playing a game of poker, and he's hoping that Donald Trump doesn't call his bluff, but we know he will.
He will. He will. Maybe he'll put a new sail on his sailboat that he sails on Lake America up there that tells Carney to pound sand, because they got a lot of that in Canada. All right, coming up, we'll get to the St. Louis Morning Brief a little later. You wouldn't believe some of the DEI programs still in place in Missouri's education system.
The death toll keeps rising. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. Nepal says the number killed in the catastrophic flood has climbed to 538, with about 1,500 missing. Time may be running out to find more survivors where it appears everything is buried under mud and people face another danger. Fox's Chanley Painter explains.
Overnight, a lake formed by the landslides began overflowing upstream, putting at risk areas devastated by flash floods 2 days ago and forcing rescue operations to stop for about 90 minutes. Those rescue operations have now resumed since the overflow stopped.
Hundreds of tourists are listed among the missing, including about 90 Americans. A jury in Massachusetts resumes deliberations this morning in the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy, who killed her 3 young children, claiming postpartum psychosis. Yesterday, her defense attorney, Kevin Reddington, said she tried to get mental health help, but the system failed her.
Visiting doctors, seeing doctors, going to Rhode Island, being told, no, we can't help you. Calling a suicide hotline, we can't help you. Calling another suicide hotline, we can't help you. My God, what does she have to do?
But prosecutor Jennifer Sprague says Clancy knew what she was doing and that she told her family about thoughts of killing her children, but not healthcare providers.
And why? Because the police might take away her kids. That's a rational thought. And it also shows she knew it was a bad thought, a wrong thought.
An autopsy report contradicts police accounts of a deadly shooting in Memphis, Tennessee last month involving the National Guard troops. And the report says the Guard members assigned to a federal anti-crime task force shot 20-year-old Tyron Johnson in the back. Authorities had said that Johnson turned toward troops with a gun before they opened fire. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. Hey, a pretty chilly start here being August. 62 degrees is our temperature right now, 6:03. Here's what's making headlines across St. Louis on this Friday, August 28th. Another scathing report for St. Louis Public Schools. A second state audit gave the district another poor rating, which is the lowest score a district can get. The audit found issues surrounding board spending, transportation, vacant buildings, and safety drills. St. Louis Public Schools says, well, those issues are already being addressed. SLPS will hold a public meeting this upcoming Monday evening to present its Future Ready plan to the community. 2 kittens were rescued after someone put them in a duffel bag and threw them out from a moving truck onto Manchester Road. The 5-month-old kittens also appear to be covered in bleach. They're now recovering at the Humane Society. The kittens are said to be in stable condition but underweight, so not yet ready for adoption. At this point, no arrests have been made. 2 Berkeley police officers and 2 Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers are being credited with saving a woman's life after lifting a car she was trapped underneath. Fox 2 reports the woman and her 12-year-old daughter had crashed near the Interstate 70-170 interchange. First responders were able to break a back window to rescue the 12-year-old. The mother's head, though, was pinned underneath the car. That's when they all got together and they were able to lift the car just enough to be able to pull her out. All right, in sports, the Cards thankfully avoided a sweep yesterday, beating the Orioles 7-5. Tonight, they welcome the Pirates to Busch Stadium, kicking off a 3-game series. First pitch for tonight's game, that is 7:15, and then they'll play day games both tomorrow and Sunday to wrap up the series. And City SC hosts Dallas at Energizer Park tomorrow, 6 p.m. Coming up on 5 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. Thanks for starting off your day with us. We're at 62 degrees. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Crews just cleared a stall eastbound 6440 at Mason. So traffic is moving well through there. It's a Friday morning. We've got light volume in general throughout the area, and that's really both on the Missouri and Illinois sides. Just a note for you, tomorrow on the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, they're going to have one westbound lane closed, she said, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., just doing a little road work there on the weekend. Off to a good start this morning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, 6 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning, 62 degrees if you're just leaving the house. As always, you can catch the Marc Cox Morning Show any time of the day from anywhere on our free Odyssey app.
All right, it is a Friday morning. It is the 28th day of August, and man, what a gorgeous start to your day. It's in the 60s out there. It'd be a great day to get out and take an early walk if you have that opportunity this morning. No question. It's going to shape up to be a nice weekend too, I think. Kim, any big plans for the weekend other than recovering from your week-long illness?
Hoping to celebrate my sister-in-law's birthday, Sarah's birthday, tonight. We'll see how I'm feeling.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
What about you?
Yeah, I've been invited to a friend's house tomorrow to just kind of hang out in the pool and
Nice.
relax a little bit. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Probably one of the last pool days. I mean, we have Labor Day coming up, I think September 7th or something
Yes.
like that. And so that's when a lot of the pools are closing. But I even noticed that the pools are now, if they are opening, I feel like they're opening after school would get out, for at least a couple hours, and then that's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, then it's going to be over for the year. It's hard to believe it went by that fast. If you missed it last night, apparently there was a lunar eclipse. Nobody on this shift stayed up late enough to see it, so I can't really describe it to you. I don't know how big a deal it was. So I think I might have seen the beginnings of it at around 8:15, but it didn't happen until closer to 11 or 11:30. So no, it didn't have any real interest in keeping my eyes awake long enough to see that last night. That would just kill me. I did have an opportunity last night. I was invited to go to visit my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge, where they had a Fred Noe in there, the 8th generation from Jim Beam Distillers down in Kentucky, talking about they make Booker's, which is one of the bourbons that they make, in addition to several others, and Knob Creek and some others. And they had him in there talking about his grandfather and his great-grandfather and the traditions they have down there and kind of what they're doing next. So shout out to Lit Cigar Lounge for hosting that. They do that all the time. And if you're into that sort of thing, you should check their website because they have lots of events like that you can just go hang out at. That was a ticketed event, but not all of them are. So anyway, that's good going on. Hey, I don't know how much people have paid attention. Kim, you and I were talking about this. I'm trying to think. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were talking about Miss Rachel?
Sounds right. Maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I thought so. Miss Rachel is apparently just a screaming liberal, like a multi-millionaire because of her YouTube videos that your kids or your grandkids love to watch. But but in addition to that, she's also just when on her own time, she went to a Kami Mamdani support during his campaign, some event that he had, and read books to children. So she was supporting the communist up there in New York. She lives in New York, and apparently recently in the news up there, this happened in June or July, I believe. They found a black man hanging from a tree in Albany, New York. And the media coverage of it went from, okay, at first, we're not sure what's happened here, to local left-wing activists getting involved and claiming that somebody had hung him because it was a black man hanging from a tree, which has all kinds of connotations to things that happened in this country 60 or 70 years ago. So what did Miss Rachel do? Miss Rachel came out and said, well, we need to understand the truth here. Black people don't hang themselves. So somebody took that clip of her and they put it next to the police chief, who has now determined that indeed this particular man hung himself. Listen to this.
Please listen to the black community. Black people don't hang themselves from trees.
At 1:59 p.m., video shows the young man carrying an electrical cord walking towards the tree by himself.
So somebody clipped that together on Libs of TikTok just so you understand that they've been losing their minds, the activists in Albany, for the past month and a half, claiming that there was something scurrilous about this, that there's no way this kid just committed suicide by hanging himself. Listen to the longer clip from the police chief, because even after he said this, there are still stories up in Albany that he's not telling the whole truth. Apparently, the entire thing was caught on a security camera. Listen.
At 1:59 p.m., video shows the young man carrying an electrical cord walking towards the tree by himself. Between 2:06 p.m. and 2:07 p.m., video captures the actual incident taking place. No one else is seen in the area when this incident occurred. At 2:25 p.m., a witness who worked near the location reported seeing someone hanging in a tree to his supervisor.
I have no idea why it took them a month and a half to conclude what was going on up there. Meanwhile, the community was getting worked up, convinced somebody else had killed this child, or teenager. I think he was a teenager.
I think that's what's irritating, is that people just, anytime race is a part of a story, people automatically want to draw conclusions. Clearly it must have been racism. Clearly it must have been someone did that to him, versus, oh, maybe it was suicide in this case. And
it doesn't help when you've got somebody with the celebrity of Miss Rachel coming out and injecting doubt into what really happened. Because in her mind, there's no way it could have been anything other than some racial assault on a black man. And that in this particular case, and in a lot of these cases where you have, epithets written on walls and that have racial connotations, and then they find out that it was the person who reported it who actually did it. You just have to wait. You're right. You can't jump to those conclusions. All right, lots to get to here, including the St. Louis Morning Brief. Let's get to our top stories, please.
So for those who threatened to stop listening to my music based on my comments last night, I just want to say with conviction, go right ahead, because I'm going to keep speaking my truth, or my name isn't Post Malone.
Jelly Roll apparently has been filling in for Jimmy Kimmel and is some sort of a hard lefty. I had no idea. I don't listen to Jelly Roll. The most thing I knew about him is that he won a bunch of music awards and he lost 300 pounds. That's all I knew about him until this week, when he's been praising Rosie O'Donnell and blasting Donald Trump. So he's welcoming you to not buy his music anymore if you don't like his stance that we just found out about on politics.
We had deferred this risk for an awfully long time. We'd had so many Americans killed in the Middle East for so many years. The Iranians have been trying to destroy Israel and the United States for decades, and no president was willing to take on this incredibly important challenge and to get to them before they had a nuclear weapon that could threaten the United States of America.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike Pompeo, for pointing out the hard truth about all of this. I was talking to somebody about this last night. Donald Trump does things most elected politicians will not take on because he's not just looking at the next election cycle. He's looking for what's in the best interest of America.
This young lady did nothing wrong in her life. She was a nurse, a daughter, a wife, and a darn good mother.
Maybe until she ran her husband off and killed her 3 children. That was part of the closing arguments yesterday in the Lindsay Clancy case, where the defense attorney looked into the eyes of the jury and tried to argue that she was a good mother, I guess, until she wasn't.
This is a frustrating thing. I want to be very clear to all the parents, people out there listening. While this is much better on these platforms, your kids are still better off not being on social media at all.
Boom. Boom. That's the governor of Utah there, Kim, talking about the Meta agreement. His state was part of that plan. You know what I found out yesterday that I did not know? I was listening to the Brian Kilmeade show on the way home, and he had a guest on. She was a business and legal analyst looking at this settlement. She said that although $17 billion, which was the settlement, is mind-boggling money to most of us, those are the profits that Google and Facebook and a lot of these companies routinely make in 1 month. So she said this is not going to be any pain at all to Meta. In fact, if it was money they were after, she thinks they would have held out a lot longer. But she thinks what they were really after was forcing the platforms to put in some new rules and guidelines themselves without having to just depend on parents who, in most cases, don't do it.
The problem is, though, Meta's going to have to try to discern when there's a kid putting in a different birthday to appear older and when it's actually someone who's older, because let's be real, everyone, I remember doing that when it first came out. You had to be in college. And I think I was maybe like a sophomore or a junior in high school. So we all you make up a fake email address or create one to look like you're a university student, and then boom, you have an account. So what would stop a kid from doing that now? I think that's going to be the challenge.
That's good. It's a good question. All right, quick break here. We will get to the St. Louis Morning Brief in just a minute.
There is an accident. Well, they say it may be a stall westbound 70 at Shreve right now, and they've got the left lane blocked. There's also, looks like a flashing light situation on the right-hand shoulder. So it's a little bit busy through there, and westbound 70 is slowing just a bit. But that's it for action at this hour, at least on the interstates. 70 eastbound looks good, no problems. 64 eastbound. They've set up in the right lanes, westbound 44 near Kings Highway for the road work today, so the 2 right lanes are blocked. But at this hour, it's not causing a delay. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, talking about Rhino Shield right now, and you know that I'm a fan because I'm a client, I'm a customer, and a satisfied customer at that. When it was time for me to cover up the outside of my clapboard siding that I had on my house, I was kind of torn. I mean, the regular paint wasn't going to get the job done to waterproof it, and I didn't really want to put vinyl siding on there. I got a settlement for the case on my house, and I had to decide which direction I was going to go. It's when I met Darren from Rhino Shield. He said, listen, if you haven't looked at this product, you need to. It's amazing. It's 100% waterproof. And it even has some insulation factor to it for your house because it rejects the sun's rays. So it keeps your house a little bit cooler, and it lasts and lasts. And boy, was he right. 17 and a half years later, that house looked as good as it did the day they put it on. Now, when I go in and read the reviews on their website, 87725rhino.com, you'll see the same things I did. You can see the before and the after photos that are on there as well. So let Darren come out. The evaluations are free. There's still plenty of time to get this great product put on your house this year or your business or whatever you happen to have that needs to be coated on the outside. And then you don't have to worry about that maintenance for a long time. It's beautifully durable. Call them at 877-25-RHINO or go to that website I just mentioned, 877-25rhino.com. Says here, cutting down.
The time now is 6:22, and this time check is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. There was an incident that happened at an O'Fallon City Council meeting last night. Kim and Mark are going to have the details in the St. Louis Morning Brief.
Here's what the headline it says on KMOV. It says, man 85 arrested after he brought loaded gun to O'Fallon, Missouri City Hall.
Yeah.
Says, showed up because he wanted to talk to the mayor about an issue in his neighborhood. He was going through the metal detector when it went off. Told officers he had a gun. And, of course, they asked him to disarm. And then the article says, as the man was disarming, the gun was briefly pointed at an officer. It's unknown whether this was intentional or not. The man was then arrested and taken to jail overnight.
Yeah, it's a, I'd love to know what they think the intent was there. They said he wanted to talk to the mayor about something. Did he conceal carry and just forget that he had it with him?
See, that's what I wonder. I mean,
he got caught at the metal detector, clearly. Seems like had he had ill intent, he might have opened fire right there.
Well, the line saying that he had gone to the city council meeting because he wanted to talk to the mayor about an issue in his neighborhood, I feel like that insinuates, I understand why they put it in there, it gives context, but it almost insinuates that he had ill intent when it could be like your situation with the airport that you've talked about on the air.
You gotta bring that up again.
You've talked about it.
I did not have a gun. Let's be very clear.
That's true. It was a little bit different.
It was a magazine that it was in the top of my backpack that I'd forgotten was in there. And they got a little worked up over it. But I'm like, ultimately, what am I going to do? Take the bullets out and throw them at somebody? I mean, it was a whole bunch of nothing. But the TSA has their rules. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
this is
right.
a little different.
So second state audit was just released Thursday, giving the St. Louis Public School District the lowest possible rating you can get, which is poor. Now Missouri State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick is calling for new leadership with the district, as if the district hasn't had enough leadership change. It's been a disaster there for years.
Who would want the job? I mean, that's the challenge you get into, and so you end up hiring people with not the most stellar resume to begin with, who are going to walk into a situation where you have schools you need to close. The communities in several areas don't want them closed. It just seems like an uphill battle. Not unlike the state control issue. They were unaccredited for years and basically had to appoint somebody to come in and oversee what was going on.
I mean, if the crime's not enough of a reason for you to want to leave the city, the 1% earnings tax, some of the dilapidated buildings, why don't you just slap on a really, really crappy school district? Because anyone with kids who can afford to get out of the city would probably want to get out. This is not. Do you really want to send your kid to a district that has repeatedly received the lowest possible ranking you can get? Absolutely not. I mean, they talk about overspending and just mismanagement. And, oh my gosh, all transportation issues with buses, a lack of them. I mean, you name it, the districts had it, and they seem kind of in denial about it because they say, "Oh, don't worry, we've been already addressing these." Well, clearly, what you're doing is not working, so maybe you should try something different. Just a word of advice there.
Please move to the city where you might get carjacked or robbed. We're going to charge you an extra 1% of your salary just for the purpose of living here. Oh, and by the way, the schools suck.
Oh, and we don't want to give money to our police because we don't believe in fully funding it, despite the mayor trying to claim that she does. Am I missing anything?
No, but we are going to talk to Joe Steiger about that a little later, St. Louis Police Officers Association. He's going to join us this morning at about 8:35.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is a sad story. 2 kittens recovering after being thrown from a vehicle covered in what the Humane Society of Missouri believes was bleach.
Oh, no.
This was a Good Samaritan, a woman who supposedly saw a duffel bag with the 2 little 5-month-old kittens inside of it. But anyway, she sees someone toss this from the vehicle in front of her as she's driving on Manchester Road. She gets out, sees that there's kittens in the bag. Again, it appears that they're covered in bleach. So she brought them straight to the shelter. Now they're recovering. They're going to be okay. But it says they were underweight, and so anyway, they have to go through all kinds of things.
See, now here's where those flock cameras might come in handy. I'm just telling you.
So wouldn't there be, though...
If she could describe the car, they could probably go back to that intersection.
It's true.
And figure out who was driving the vehicle that did that.
But then people would say, but is our cost to privacy worth it to be able to catch the person who did this? Because they haven't caught the person yet.
Josh Hawley called for basically an end to these flock cameras or much tighter guidelines. So more and more of those calls, including Senator Nick Schroer at the state level, are going out. We'll see what happens.
But wouldn't there still be some sort of a camera over the interstate that could...
Intersection?
Well, oh, that's true. I wasn't on the interstate. I'm sorry, Manchester Road. Would there not be some sort of a camera that wasn't officially flock that would still be able to record his plate? There's still cameras. Businesses have them. They're still on some of the intersections, right?
I would assume that is the case, yes. I don't know about Manchester specifically, but...
I'd think Manchester of any place because it's so busy.
I look up and see little cameras sometimes, and I wonder exactly what the purpose of those are. I don't think they're flock cameras. All right, we'll be back. We'll check in with Nicole in just a minute. Stay tuned.
Looking good on the roads this morning. If you are just headed out, it really is a really good commute. Now, we had a stall westbound 6440 at Mason, and it may still be on the right shoulder, but, it's not bad. Now, westbound 70 at Shreve, it first came down as a stall, could be an accident, but it's blocking the left lane. And all kinds of flashing lights on the scene there. The right lane's, of course, getting by. And there's a little bit of a delay. Eastbound traffic on 70 is unaffected. And we look great on the Illinois side at this hour. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Trump here. If you're feeding a person a crap sandwich with a smile, it's still a crap sandwich.
Yes, indeed it is. Thank you, Mr. President, for that. Did you see? It's almost like beat up on Canada month here. Did you see what the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation told its staff, how they instructed their staff to write their stories leading up to 9/11?
Yeah, to not call it a terrorist attack.
Don't refer to it as terrorism.
Was it Abdul El Sayed or Hassan Piker who was advising the broadcasting group there in
It was
Canada?
Mamdani, who probably shouldn't be at any of those 9/11 ceremonies, come to think of it. But this is the story. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation sent a memo to its reporters and editors this week instructing them not to refer to September 11, 2001 attack on America as a terrorist attack.
So what is it?
Do not refer to this as a terrorist attack. The hijackings led to a passenger jet crash in Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, and Manhattan. The World Trade Center was destroyed. The memo continued by way of explaining why the atrocity, seen by most of the world as a textbook example of a terrorist attack, should not be described as such.
How could you possibly chalk it up to that?
I have no idea. It just shows you just how out of control the media is, particularly in countries where they don't have a First Amendment like Canada, but they're just warning them right now because they have a rule against the use of the word terror and terrorism.
Well, it's like
at the BBC,
radical Islamic terror. What was
CBC,
it? Radical Islamic.
Yeah, Barack Obama
wouldn't say it.
He didn't want to use that word.
Yeah,
that's weird. All right, on a much happier note, sometimes you find out something about someone you think you know, and then you find out you didn't really know them at all. Like our friend Nicole Murray. Wow.
Whoa.
Who is that all-star singing that song?
I didn't know you could sing.
Thanks, y'all. Holy cow, my stomach just did flips. I was not expecting that. I thought you were going to tease me about something with the morning show. Thank you so much for playing that.
Ethan fixed you up. He said he saw it on social media and had to play it. So
thank you so much.
Did you take voice lessons growing up, or you just like to sing?
Voice lessons then, voice lessons now, doing choir and all that. So.
Wow.
Oh, you do traffic now too, Nicole?
Yeah, I do it all.
You're the jack of all trades.
I'm not used to having that there, so I just threw me off on my
No worries. But yeah, so love music. I've always done it. It's definitely hard to like make money from it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm making a living off of it, but it's more covers are coming. So thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Love
that.
Well,
You
Mark,
might have to load them up then when you do them.
I appreciate that.
He's been practicing his guitar songs, so maybe he could accompany you. Do you know the song "Hot Cross Buns"? Can you sing that?
Hot cross buns.
There you go.
There we go. A little duet.
Oh my
Mark,
goodness.
bring the guitar.
Mark, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
I'll bring my recorder.
Do you know
goodness.
"Smoke on the Water"? Can you sing that one? No.
That's definitely one of those songs that if I heard it, I would recognize it. But like just hearing the title of it, like I can't sing it off the top of my head. You know what I mean? You know,
I do.
you have
No,
those
Sing it
songs?
for us, Mark, because I don't know it either.
No,
please do.
That's
Oh,
okay.
it's like the dun, dun, dun,
That's exactly it.
See, that's it. You know it. It's the simplest guitar chord work in rock music. So even if you don't play guitar very well, most people can play that.
All right. Well, one day musically we will collaborate.
Fantastic.
I'll buy the CD. That's Steven.
Yeah.
Still
Oh my
a
God.
thing.
I already know what our album cover is going to look like. Are you ready?
Yes.
Sunglasses and outside, and maybe I won't spoil it completely, but just it's going to be really cool.
All right.
I think we should do it.
We'll work it up on that. We'll get
ChatGPT.
AI or ChatGPT to work on that.
We
for
don't
us.
need ChatGPT for that. Don't worry, I got it.
I got you. What's going on in the business world?
All right, here we go. Futures are mixed. Friday, the Dow Industrials gained 105, the Nasdaq up 411, the S&P 500 up 55. St. Louis-based Ameren said at a hearing last night that its Lincoln County battery project will not lead to a data center. As the company has at other recent meetings, the St. Louis-based electric utility company made its case for why the project is needed, which is to support the power grid as demand for electricity rises. Six Flags St. Louis has changed its name to Mid-America Adventure under the park's new owner, Florida-based Enchanted Parks. The park announced its official rebrand yesterday on social media. Park President Danny Snyder told STLtoday.com that leadership is excited about the changes and opportunities that are ahead. Miss Sherry's Cafeteria, a St. Louis institution and one of the last remaining cafeteria-style restaurants in the area, is closing soon after 54 years in business. Owner Ron Ammon said the restaurant is a victim of COVID and inflation. He added that he had several months left on his lease. Marvel Technology shares fell 8% this morning despite a second quarter revenue beat as it raised fiscal 2028 outlook failed to meet investors' elevated expectations. The chipmaker reported that its second quarter revenue jumped 37% year on year. Analysts said investors had elevated expectations due to a recent deal with Google. And that scoop of guac may not be worth it. The FDA has slapped its highest risk classification on a recall of nearly 13,000 whole food dips, salsas, and guacamole products over potential salmonella contamination. First announced on August 12th, the recall covers products made with jalapenos supplied by Coast Citrus distributors. And finally, the Daily Mail reports that money can buy you happiness. People's well-being continues to improve the wealthier they become.
I can see that.
Absolutely. More expensive food, like healthier food is more expensive.
Oh, for sure. Anything
Nicer
organic.
vacations.
I just want some
Relaxing.
guacamole now. I'm still thinking about that guac. Why do they always have to the avocados?
There are several restaurants in town, and you can find them easily, that make their own guacamole.
Oh,
They make
so
it fresh,
good.
and that's the best.
When they make it at your table. Have you
Yeah.
ever had that?
I have
I
not.
love
I don't
that.
think.
See, I'm meant for the finer things in life. The rule when I was younger is that you could not say you didn't like a food item unless if you tried it. And it bit my dad in the butt because now my sisters and I all have very expensive food tastes. So bring on the stone crab, the seafood towers. More money, more power. That's where
I
I'm
love
at.
it. You just need to hit the lottery now, right?
I know.
If
I
only.
know.
I'll work on your I was actually, while you were talking, I was trying to work on the album cover, and the first one I got kind of sucks. So we'll make some tweaks and see if we can get it.
Oh my gosh, that'll be how we make our fortune.
You
That'd
guys
be
can
great.
just give me some
Then we
royalties
can
for that.
Go to Ruth's
You got
Chris
it.
every night or Twisted Tree Steakhouse, something like that.
Ooh, that sounds lovely.
You would love it. When you come to town to visit us sometime, we'll make sure we go there. Just
We
come
got to
check
figure
it
out how to have this happen. Shout out to all your listeners that message me, by the way. Some of them have asked when I'm coming to visit. So we really got to figure out how to make it happen.
That's cool.
We
Yeah.
will work on it for sure. All right, Nicole, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Yeah. We should figure out a way to make that happen.
The first one it thought that you were a radio show, and I was like, no. I need Mark playing the guitar and Nicole singing, and it says it's polishing the details.
Probably very few pictures of that.
Well,
me ever playing the guitar.
The question is, will your face look anything like it actually does? That's always the funniest
It never
thing.
does it?
Well,
On
there's been
chat,
a couple
have
times.
you done that?
A couple times I've seen it do a pretty good job.
You can tell it to go back and use your real face, and it will.
Oh, here we go. It's still not well, you look a little different, Mark.
Thinner and younger.
I didn't
Is
say
that-
that. I did not say that, but I will have to send this to.
Well, hold it up to the camera there
Okay,
so people
hold on,
can
hold
see
on.
it. If
Let
you're
me see.
watching,
Let me
if you're
pull it back
watching
up.
radio this morning on social media, you'll be able to see it on the Window World webcam. Simply the best for less. Look at that. I don't look thin enough in that picture, Kim. Wow.
What do you think?
Just change it to an electric guitar. We'll be good.
It says, it has a list of the songs.
Oh, what are
It
they?
has,
What does it list? What does it list?
Something Greater is your first one.
Okay.
Hold On, Faithful Still, Right Where We Are, You Never Let Go, Home, Light in the Dark, Sing It Out, Grace Like This, and Good Morning World. These do
Are
not
those
sound like
Christian
songs you would
music
sing.
songs?
I feel like yours would be like bourbon, cigars, golfing, Dr. Green. One of your songs would probably be Dr.
George
Green.
Thorogood,
One of them would
maybe.
be something about
One bourbon, one scotch,
bottoms
one
up with bourbon or something related to that.
First of all, we have to work on the musical side of things before we start talking about what songs we're going to play.
Well,
It's been a long time.
First you have to learn how to play the guitar.
I can play a little bit. I told you that I can play a little bit. I played on stage before. It's just been a long time.
This is songs of faith, love, and real life. Yeah, that's not what you would sing about.
You don't think so?
No, I'll have to.
Why
make some
would you
tweaks.
say something mean to me like that?
Because it's the truth, and the truth hurts, Mark.
Man, comes back from a week of illness and it's just
A little
taking
spice
me
to me.
down on this morning. I'm telling you, for sure. All right, coming up, we'll end up talking to our friend Dr. Bob Onder, the congressman, in the next hour, and we've got that. We're going to talk about flock cameras a little bit. We've got Adam Guillette coming up from Accuracy in Media. So, did you ever buy the fact that DEI was going away? Did you ever believe? Now, it seems like it's been covered up more. It's not as in your face as it was, but they've just renamed it.
No, that's 100% for anything like that. When they say we're getting rid of it, they've renamed it so that it's harder for you to figure out what's going on.
Yes, they've just, and there's been a great undercover example of it discovered in the University of Missouri system. Shocker. The Accuracy in Media folks found this out, basically going undercover and getting someone to admit the fact that they still do all of that stuff. They've just called it something else. So we're going to get to that interview for you with Adam coming up in the 8 o'clock hour at about 8:20 this morning. So be sure and tune in for that. By the way, Kim, I need you to read the last message sent in on the Facebook page this morning, next to last message.
Okay. Let me just preface this comment with, this is Mark's son talking. Brad is saying, unfortunately, he's not lying. He can play a little bit.
He's heard it.
Okay, Brad, I believe you, but you talk a big game, Mark. Maybe not a big game, but a game. And so I feel like you have to actually show us. Prove it.
Okay.
Bring the guitar in and play a little something for us.
This is going to be amazing.
Right, Brad? Back me up on this.
Or it could be really bad radio.
Nah.
One of the two.
You're saying you can play a song.
There's
so
somebody that used to be on Y98 that used to do it all the time.
Yeah, well, that's true. This is
it can't be
true.
that bad.
Well, it could. It could be that bad. All right, we'll talk about that. We'll try to figure out the logistics. I cannot play Freebird. I can play Freebird. I can't play the lead part of Freebird, but I know the chords to Freebird for sure. Freebird.
There you go. You
can
can play the bumper music.
I can play House of the Rising Sun. I can play that for you.
No, I don't know what that song is.
All right, you'll know it when you hear it. At least if it sounds anything like it's supposed to. All right, we'll get to that for you coming up. And, of course, we got In Other News next. We'll be right back.
Good news. Crews have cleared the stall westbound 70 at Shreve. They just got it cleared. And traffic is going to thin out quickly through there. We look pretty good. Now, out west, there is some volume. Southbound 61 ramping onto eastbound 70. But that's about it. Other than that, it's a typical Friday morning, and we look good. 55 is in good shape. 44 looks good. 64, 40. And quiet on the Illinois side as well, and on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well,
come on, Mark.
Just clip my mic.
You know that
yeah,
that's a
I know.
thing.
I know. I'm just ready to talk. I'm sorry. This is going to be one of the viral videos you'll see today if you're addicted to social media and you're doom scrolling. Down in Texas, Ring cameras are great until they're not. They ordered DoorDash, and the guy that showed up to deliver their food was naked.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Yeah. Thought it was a strip steak they ordered? No, not quite. The Houston dad got a shocking surprise when the DoorDash delivered food to him and his daughter while the guy was naked as a jaybird. Their description. Keontae Matlock says he was inside his home playing video games with his daughter when he got a phone notification alerting him that the order had arrived. And when he checked the Ring camera, he realized that the driver who dropped off the food was completely naked.
Wow.
The footage shows the guy standing there, open to the world, placing their order on the front porch, and then casually walking back to his car like it was nothing out of the ordinary.
So I take it he was clothed when he picked up the food and then stripped in the car before he dropped off the food.
That's a good point.
Maybe. The guy threw the food away, as you can imagine, and reached out to DoorDash, who was equally appalled and refunded his money.
Well, I'd hope they'd get a refund and maybe a little voucher.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
Have you all seen this video of the Panda Express situation out of Milwaukee?
I don't think so. No.
This is so disgusting. I actually like Panda Express. I know it's terrible for you, but it is delicious. But anyway, there's this video that came out showing this Panda Express employee who jumps on top of where the fryer is, and he's trying to clean the upper area. So he's spraying the chemical and trying to wipe down that area right over where all the food is being fried.
It's frying while he's standing there.
While he's standing there with his nasty feet and spraying chemicals over it. And you see another employee come in and put the basket of food down to continue frying it right as he's standing there. I mean, this is just...
I hate to tell you, Kim, that happens probably
No,
more than you think.
No. I don't go... I rarely ever get fast food.
At least
this is probably why.
At least it was deep fried. That probably killed anything that might have fallen on it, right? Isn't that what you hope for?
There you go.
You can only hope.
I mean, you have to hope. Here's something that's equally disgusting. A doctor in Virginia woke up and felt something on her mouth. And when she realized what it was, she lost her mind. It was a bat.
Ugh.
That was trying to crawl into her mouth. So the doctor, her name is Krista Edelman, she's a gastroenterologist, is putting out a warning for all these other people, right? Because, of course, you have to go get shots when that happens because you don't know if the bat is rabid or not. She said, at first I thought it was a mouse, which would have been gross on its own. Then I realized it was not a mouse. And I screamed repeatedly at my loudest voice, "There's a bat in my mouth!" And then she did some quick research and learned out that she shouldn't kill it. She kept it to be tested for rabies.
There you go.
So she caught it in a bucket and called a friend it helps to have a friend who's an infectious disease doctor, apparently, and then to determine whether or not she needed a rabies vaccine.
I did not know that when you get the rabies shot, not only is it pretty expensive, but I think it's over a series of a few weeks. It's not just a one and done shot.
It's multiple shots.
Yeah. You have to do it over, several weeks?
I believe so.
I think they used to. I don't think it takes that long these days.
I told you I was bit by a raccoon, and I'm really embarrassed about... Well, okay, hold on. Let me clarify.
Because you tried to hug it. You should never hug a raccoon.
I just wanted a hug. It nipped at me. It didn't break any skin, so I never got the rabies shot. And the fact I was trying to feed it, somebody else was feeding the raccoon. I decided this was really cute. Clearly, he's a nice raccoon. I decided to do it, and it nipped me.
Can I pet that dog?
Yeah.
Can I pet your dog?
So, Sue, see, I don't like a lot of these animals because I've not had great experiences for them.
I see.
My daughter, that's going to happen to her one of these days.
She's like, I'd be like Buddy
the elf. She will try to pet any animal she sees.
My son, every single animal, like we'll read a book and it has, 100 animals in the ocean and every single animal. He's like, could I pet that? Could I pet that?
But
it takes us 15 minutes to get through a book of like 10 animals because he needs to know if he can pet the animal.
He's 3. My daughter's 18. She should know better. I'm just saying.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, touche. All right, Sue, you'll like this. Lucky Charms and tricks go au naturel as General Mills ditches artificial colors.
Love it.
Yes, so Minneapolis company has shifted to fruit and vegetable-based dyes. And that's coming from things like turmeric and paprika. So I guess the bright colors you would typically see for Lucky Charms maybe will be a little dulled. But I mean, that's what you get if you go to Europe, as far as I understand it. They still have the same food, but their standards are very different. Yeah. And so I think a lot of their stuff has already been dyed with the more natural stuff. So it's just we're used to it here in the United States, so I think it's going to be something very noticeable. But had we never had that, we would know no different.
Exactly. That's a positive. I mean, cereal isn't great for you.
Win for RFK.
Isn't that so crazy that they would advertise as if cereal was a healthy way to start your day?
Oh, it's insane.
Well, we all bought it. Right?
No, I know. There's so many things that people think are really healthy for you. To this day, the way people talk and they think that's healthy. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
I was looking at little chocolate chip cookies in a bowl, and people are saying, that's good. It's cereal for breakfast.
Honeycomb.
Wait, what?
I loved honeycomb. I loved Count Chocula was one of my favorites.
Oh, Count Chocula.
Because the milk would be like chocolate milk by the time you were done with it.
Fruity
It was
Pebbles, I always loved.
Captain Crunch ruled them all.
See,
It was good. I could still eat Captain Crunch.
We were healthy growing up, so we never got that fun stuff. That was a special snack. We would get like Raisin Bran was like the fancy one, but we'd get shredded wheat. Shredded
That's
wheat.
good, though.
Not even the stuff with sugar on
but
it.
like when you're, 12,
Yeah,
you
that sucks
definitely
when you're
don't want
12.
shredded wheat. But
What are you, 82?
No wonder you
need
ate so
your
many
fiber.
eggs.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
made
there's a
way more
picture of me
sense.
with a frying pan in my high school yearbook because I ate so many eggs.
Yeah, there's a. Remember we were talking to Ackerman the other day about parents and what it's like to have parents scream at you from the stands and all that when you're coaching. So in Wisconsin there was a youth football game, bunch of 9-year-olds in pads out on the field, and a kid gets around the end and is clearly going for a touchdown, and a parent stepped onto the field and tripped the child before he could make it into the end zone.
Oh, a 9-year-old.
Yes, and both of them fell to the ground, and people are, they're pissed.
So what
And
happened to
they're-
the parent?
Well, I mean, I guess he's probably going to be banned from doing that again. The coach said it was the most cowardly act I've ever seen,
That's
and of
tough.
course, everybody had it on camera because it was going to be such a great touchdown, and I would assume, my guess is that he's not going to be allowed to come to any more games, and might be cited for disorderly conduct.
I hope so.
He
That'd be
fled.
Yeah, I'd think
crazy.
so.
He ran and got in his car after it happened, and then the police caught him. So that's assault. He basically assaulted that kid on the football field, if that's a thing.
Grief.
All right, coming up, we'll get to Congressman Bob Onder in the Capitol beat at 7:35.
Time is running out. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. It's been almost 2 days since a glacier landslide caused a devastating flood in Nepal and Tibet, and crews are scrambling to find the missing.
Time is of the essence as conditions continue to get worse as more rain is scheduled over the next few days.
Fox's Stephanie Bennett reporting from London.
Nepal says at least 547 people have died, while at least 5 were killed in Tibet. Together, both countries say more than 1,500 people are still missing, including 90 Americans. Those sources told Reuters 117 tourists have been rescued, including 2 U.S. nationals.
Emergency management crews are closely watching a lake formed by the flood in case it starts overflowing again. Jurors in the Lindsay Clancy trial in Massachusetts will resume deliberations this morning as they try to determine if she's criminally responsible for killing her 3 children in 2023 or whether she was in the midst of postpartum psychosis. President Trump arrives at an awkward moment for his presidency today as the war against Iran reaches the 6-month mark, a notable milestone for the conflict. The Republican leader repeatedly assured Americans it would be a little excursion lasting a matter of weeks. A big issue remains the Strait of Hormuz, and U.S. Admiral Brad Cooper posted on X.
Internationally recognized transit routes in the Strait are free of Iranian sea mines thanks to the incredible work of the U.S. military.
And President Trump has shifted gears from military action, says he's not in a hurry to end the war as he relies on economic sanctions to pressure Iran. And U.S. crude oil is a bit lower this morning at $82.87 a barrel. And Russian forces resume drone attacks on Ukraine's capital region of Kyiv and killing 1 person and wounding 2. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Boy, hard to beat this weather right now. Sunny here downtown, 62 degrees. It is 7:03. Here's what's making headlines across St. Louis on this Friday, August 28th. Another scathing report for St. Louis Public Schools. A second state audit gave the district another poor rating, which is the lowest score a district can get. The audits found issues surrounding board spending, transportation, vacant buildings, and safety drills. St. Louis Public Schools says, well, those issues are already being addressed. SLPS will hold a public meeting this upcoming Monday evening to present its Future Ready plan to the community. 2 kittens were rescued after someone put them in a duffel bag and threw them out from a moving truck on Manchester Road. The 5-month-old kittens also appear to be covered in bleach. They're now recovering at the Humane Society. The kittens are said to be in stable condition but underweight, so not ready for adoption yet. At this point, no arrests have been made. 2 Berkeley police officers and 2 Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers are being credited with saving a woman's life after lifting a car she was trapped underneath. Fox 2 reports the woman and her 12-year-old daughter had crashed near the Interstate 70-170 interchange. First responders, they were able to break a back window to rescue the 12-year-old, but then the mother's head was actually pinned underneath the car. So that's when these officers and the troopers were able to lift the car just enough to be able to pull her out. She's now at the hospital recovering. All right, in sports, the Cards thankfully avoided a sweep yesterday, beating the Orioles 7-5. Tonight, they're welcoming the Pirates to Busch Stadium, kicking off a 3-game series. First pitch for tonight's game is 7:15, and then they'll play day games both tomorrow and Sunday to wrap up that series. And City SC hosts Dallas at Energizer Park tomorrow at 6 o'clock. 62 degrees here coming up on 5 minutes after the hour. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
pretty quiet out there for your commute this morning. There's a little bit of volume on eastbound 70 on the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, and there was an accident eastbound 5570 past 157 on the Illinois side that's caused a delay. But other than that, we're good, and we look good on the Missouri side at this hour. Northbound 55 really is in great shape, and that's from down south into downtown. We look good through North County, so yeah, pretty good here this morning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
.06 right now and 62 degrees. You can take the Marc Cox Morning Show with you wherever you go. Listen to the show anytime or anywhere on our free Odyssey app.
It is Friday, and here we are. We're all in a great mood because you got that extra spring in your step when it's a Friday morning and it's gorgeous outside. Hopefully you can get outside and enjoy that, or at least roll the window down on the way to work this morning.
Yeah, it's low 60s. It kind of feels like fall. Maybe a little warmer for fall, but low 60s, we'll take it.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, hopefully people will get out there and take advantage of that. I hope so, because we've still got a lot of hot weather coming next week. There's no way around that. We will try to get through that. I don't know how that's going to go. Ethan, let me give you this so we can get to our top stories here in a minute. We're still going to talk to Victoria Coates coming up in just a few minutes. I heard the debate yesterday. Scott Jennings talking about this on one of the hits that I saw was why gas prices are still as high as they are, if indeed we're getting the amount of oil through the strait that we thought we were, and is there any pressure on that because of what's going on with Canada? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that when it comes to foreign policy stuff, Victoria Coates is an expert on it, and she is in for J.J. Carafano, who we're going to get to her coming up next. At the bottom of the hour, Congressman Bob Onder is going to join us. We've been dealing with these flock cameras and all of that. I want to get Bob's take on that because, at the end of the day, everybody's got an opinion on that, right? We're also going to talk to him about what's gone on with the Supreme Court's decision on mail-in voting. The same judge that the Supreme Court smacked down originally has now come back and done the same thing again, trying to stop President Trump's order affecting the post office from taking effect. And if this holds for the next 2 weeks, it would then prevent the president from being able to engage in this additional election security leading up to the midterms, because mail-in voting is going to start before too awful long in some of these abusive states where they take it full advantage of the ability with no chain of custody to mail votes in. So we'll talk to the congressman about what's going on with that. Before the end of the show, we're still going to get to Joe Steiger with the St. Louis Police Officers Association. We played the bites from Mayor Spencer, who was on this radio station the other day talking about what she wants to do to police salaries and benefits. That is not going over very well, as you can imagine, with the police officers themselves or members of their union. So we'll get Joe's take on all of that for you at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Stick around for that. Remember, if you miss anything, you can always go back and pick up the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, either Apple, Spotify, doesn't matter, 97.1 FM Talk. You can get it there, the Odyssey app. We have lots of great options for you. Right now, Ethan, let's go ahead and get to those top stories, please.
It is bigger than Trump. Because whenever we do the work of ousting the occupant of the Oval Office, the Confederacy is still alive and well. That's all MAGA is.
Did you know that if you're a MAGA, as she calls it, not Make America Great Again MAGA, it's MAGA, according to Ayanna Pressley, then you are part of the Confederacy, just so you knew that.
I feel like a transgender woman should be able to play in women's sports because, like, yeah, they might have been a man before, but they're changing into a woman. So why not play a women's sport? Like, they're not gonna let her play men's sports, so.
Yeah, because she's not going to be able to compete in men's sports, probably. You can't fix stupid. Jim White said that for many years, and there's more video evidence of it every day.
Senator Josh Hawley is demanding information on how Flock places its cameras, what it does with the data, and how police officers access it.
Yeah, that was a letter that Senator Hawley sent out ordering some investigation, some more information on how Flock is working across the country. We know counties where they've gotten rid of it already, and there is a movement maybe to try to do that statewide in Missouri.
We're going to be changing the name of Lake Ontario, effective immediately, to Lake America. That's going to take place right now as I sign the order.
Yeah, anybody want to go sailing with me this weekend? I would love to do that. I'd love to go on a sailboat, even though I don't know how to sail. A sailboat with a large sail that looks like the American flag, and just go over and go right up and down the Ontario coast. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be fun. Just taunt him a little bit.
If Trump did that, that's exactly what he would do. I mean, this is just him poking the bear. He knows it's going to irritate them. Of course, they're still saying we're calling it Lake Ontario because it's been that forever. We're not switching over to Lake America. My question will be, and I searched this on my phone earlier just doing Google Maps. I know this just happened yesterday, so it'd be really quick to change it over. But if you're going on your map, on like the iPhone, for example, it does say the Gulf of America, and it's been like that for months. So I wonder how long or if ever they'll change it to Lake America.
It's a good question. I don't know. Somebody said he should have called it Lake Trump. That way, even long after he was gone, somebody'd have to actively go back and change it for it to be changed back.
Oh, the first Democratic president would change it. See, that would be funny. If you can, I'll be honest with you. I did not realize that you could change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America by signing an executive order, just like, actually, this is going to be called something different.
You're the president of the United States.
I know,
Absolutely.
But it's not like it just touches the United States. It touches Canada, too. So the fact that, he can just say, well, this is officially what it's called.
I just think it just shows how effective he is as a real estate magnate of owning property in the brains of all of the people that fight him on whatever they're fighting him, whether he used to call Marco Rubio Little Marco, all of that stuff. It's all the media talked about, and it completely took the attention. It's like a laser pointer with a cat. Like it immediately captures the attention of everyone. So that's what they're talking about, and it's just got to be eating up Doug Ford and this Carney guy up in Canada.
He called James Talarico James Talafrico.
I've heard.
And he goes,
that
it's because he's a little freaky. I actually laughed out loud when I read that one yesterday. But yeah, I mean, Trump is really good at just getting under people's skin to the point where they're just so irritated. It's like a gnat that you keep swatting at and you keep missing it. And until you actually just finally do something about it, you're just going to keep having this gnat. And so I feel like that's kind of Trump's approach.
But he's a big gnat. Let's put it that way. Biggest gnat you've ever batted at, for sure.
It's effective.
Yeah, it is effective. I will point out, for those of you just catching up this morning, that that the president did go out and campaign for Ken Paxton in Texas, speaking of Talafrico, where he made that comment. That's good news because the president's sitting on about $450 million of campaign war chest, and he's not running for reelection. So if he spends that money in Michigan and in Texas for this race, it helps the Republicans hold the Senate. We'll see what happens with that. Right now, let's get to our top stories, Ethan, please. Oh, you're right. All right, we'll get to a quick break then.
You know what's sad? I didn't even register that. I'm like, yeah, Ethan, go.
I did.
I was
sitting
here going, I think we just did it.
I was just
he
talking
wants to do
about
it
that.
again. He really wants everyone to hear.
What we're going to do is get to Victoria Coach when it is Friday, folks. Give me a break. We're going to get to Victoria Coach when we come back from the Heritage Foundation. Stay tuned.
On the roads this morning, it's been such a nice commute. Now, on the Illinois side, we had an accident eastbound 5570 near 157, and there's still some slow-moving traffic there. But that's about it. Now, on the Missouri side, 70 eastbound still looks great. Forestel into downtown, light traffic on 64. Northbound 270 is in good shape. Yeah, we really do look good at this time. This report is brought to you by the fabulous people at the Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, call this number if you've got any foundation issues, 314-271-9900. It's a matter of the biggest investment you have, and if there's a problem with the foundation anywhere, then you need to have my friend Matt Hayes over there to look at it. It's just a matter of when you get him scheduled, right? Because he's going to come in, he will address the problem, he'll let the basement speak for itself. That's important. You may not need 15 things done. You might need one thing done, and that is what Matt brings to the table. He runs a small company, and he exists on his word. He's not owned by one of the big conglomerates that own a lot of these foundation companies these days. He depends on word of mouth and good customer reviews, and every one of my listeners who has used Matt has come back to me with that same report. In fact, several have said we had other estimates scheduled and we just canceled them after we met Matt. So he'll put you at ease. I know him personally, and you're going to enjoy working with him. He's also got 24 months, same as cash financing. 271-9900, or go to their website. Tell them Mark sent you. It's HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
The time now is 7:19, and this time check is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. We've got Representative Bob Onder coming up in the Capitol B. He'll be here around 7:35.
And that means that this was serious. There was a specific message, I expect, from President Trump to President Putin, and hopefully that message was delivered and received.
Yeah, that's Victoria Coates. We're attempting to get her on the line right now. We got her scheduled from the Heritage Foundation. She's talking about John Ratcliffe's surprise visit to Russia, because that is not something that obviously they telegraphed. But, you know, I heard John Brennan say the other day that he's done the same thing himself when he was what was he, like national director of national intelligence, whatever. If you're trying to make a message, get it directly to Vladimir Putin, you don't want to do it over a phone line or from a distance. You want to do it face to face. That's how you handle those things. And you want to make sure that your message is being received. In fact, we have Victoria on the line now with the Heritage Foundation, one of their national security and foreign policy experts. Victoria, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, I just played a little part of your comments yesterday on John Ratcliffe's quick trip to Russia, if there's such a thing. I don't know how quick you can get over there and back, but everybody in the media seemed shocked that happened. It's really nothing new, correct?
No, it isn't. It's important that we keep those channels open, both with Russia and with China, and indeed with North Korea, that you try to make sure you don't accidentally sort of back into a conflict. And so I think sending the CIA director, there's a history there. He's the right person to send. He has all of the information. And, you know, I just have enormous trust in John. So he was a visiting fellow at Heritage before he became CIA director. So we have great confidence in him. And I think this is much ado about nothing.
We don't know do we know what the actual matter was that he was dealing with?
I think that we've had some elevated Russian potential threats to NATO members. So think the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. But then we also have this very concerning reporting out of the United Kingdom that the British government is about to start informing their citizenry that they need 72 hours of water and tinned food in case of a major cyber disruption. So that, you know, is pretty serious, and that would be something that would definitely get the attention of the CIA director.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, I had not heard that. I heard something about Poland, but I didn't hear about the others. So, well, it's a good thing to know. It's a good thing to know they're on top of it for sure. When it comes to what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, I heard the president again yesterday talking about the fact that it's open, that he's moving oil through the Gulf, through the Strait right now, and that, you know, I would think logic follows that eventually gas prices would start dropping if that's true. Do we have any reason to believe that's not the case?
No, we have every reason to believe it is the case. So we've got about, according to Secretary Wright, the Secretary of Energy, we've got about 9-10 million barrels a day coming out of the Strait, which is about half of what it had been. But then there are other routes. There are the pipelines, the Saudi Petroline, for example, moving 5 to 7 million barrels a day. So there really isn't a supply crisis per se in terms of oil. And we're also pumping record amounts. We may hit, Mark, 14 million barrels a day next month. That's incredible for the United States. So product is out there. It's the security issues that I think are keeping prices somewhat elevated. But I think they will start to come down. And, you know, as that sort of transit of the Strait continues to open up. And meanwhile, you know, the Iranians have something like 40 million barrels on the water that they can't sell. Nobody's taking. You know, they've just got these tankers sitting there, and it's not that, I mean, it's already out, but nobody wants to buy it because they think they're going to be liable to U.S. sanctions. So it's a very interesting moment.
What I've also found very interesting with Iran's strategy here, aside from just stall, has been that they've gone and attacked other countries. You know, you'd think, you'd go after the United States, but they haven't done that as much. And I think Saudi Arabia, right, was one of those that had been repeatedly attacked. And I wondered now, knowing, because I didn't realize that we had been using oil through that pipeline going through Saudi Arabia, do you think that's the reason why they were going after them, was because they know we were using them to get oil?
No, this was really the most curious decision of the war from my perspective, is why Iran decided to start indiscriminately shelling its neighbors. And it's Saudi, it's UAE. UAE actually took the brunt of it. They've got 2 Israeli Iron Dome batteries in UAE defending the Emirates. That's an incredible thing right there. Kuwait, Bahrain, even Jordan, Egypt. I mean, everybody, Qatar, ostensibly their friend. They've been taking pot shots at everyone. Everybody hates them now, and nobody wants to do business with them. Everybody is lining up, to say, okay, United States, what are you going to do? We will follow you. So I think if you have me on in a year, what we're going to be talking about is how this new Middle East is going to sort of formulate itself and what role we're going to play. And, quite frankly, the people who are nowhere to be found are the Chinese. It's not like they're moving in and projecting power and taking an active role in this. It's entirely the United States now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that you look at a lot of foreign policy issues and national security issues. I wonder how this dispute with Canada plays a role in any of that. I mean, obviously, Mark Carney is quite angry with the United States right now and threatening to counter tariff and all of that stuff. Without getting into the economics of it, I did hear the Alberta Prime Minister pushing back on the idea that Canada would start cutting off its oil flow to the United States. Listen to a little bit of this, Victoria.
And if we cut off our oil entirely, what then? The same results, but even worse. The United States would, of course, respond and cut off all gasoline and diesel from their refineries to Ontario and Quebec, right as we turn into fall and winter. And unlike Canada, the United States has strategic oil reserves that Canada does not. So although their gasoline prices will increase, they will be able to keep them at relatively manageable prices, just as they have done through the Iran war.
Is that I heard our strategic oil reserves are down right now. Do we have enough to sustain us if we were to get into something like that with Canada?
Well, we do. And I think Alberta, as a province of Canada, is a really interesting case. They're considering seceding.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the 51st state, it's going to be Alberta, and that's the best part of Canada, quite frankly. And so I think that is certainly something to watch. Now, while this is a problem for us, we need Canada. It's obviously a neighbor, a very important country in terms of natural resources, but it's existential for them. I don't know what Carney's playing at. He can't afford this game. He doesn't have the chips to play at this particular table. And there's also a reporting that the United States is in advanced talks with Venezuela to take an ownership role in some of their largest oil reserves. And Venezuela, bear in mind, has the world's largest proven oil reserves. So if we ink that deal with Venezuela, then our reserves double overnight. And so how we then refill the strategic petroleum reserve it becomes a matter of process rather than necessity. And we do have enough right now to sustain us. We do need to refill that. And I think the president's very cognizant of it. But clearly some of the moves that he's making, particularly the Venezuela move, is pretty much saying to Canada, you know what, we don't really need you anymore. Yeah. The way that we used to, and we're not that into you. And if you guys, that trade relationship was in desperate need of resetting. So if you guys will come to the table and be reasonable, and my understanding is that the deal that was offered to them was pretty good for them, then we can go back to business as usual. But what we're not going to do is let you freeload.
Yeah, it's true. Donald Trump needs one of those easy buttons Hillary Clinton used to have, right?
That was the reset button. It was, yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. Victoria, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely a pleasure.
Have a great weekend. Victoria Coates with Heritage, and we'll be right back.
Good morning. Okay, we have picked up a little bit of volume out there, but it's a typical Friday morning, which means at this hour it's just moderate. So northbound 270, some moderate volume anywhere from Big Bend up through the Clayton Road overpass. Now eastbound 64, a little bit slow there. Again, moderate volume at Big Bend. Westbound slowing at Clayton Skinker. And 55 looks good still. We really don't have any problems through North County. 70 eastbound a little slow out at Highway A, but that's about it. And other than that, we're good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just had Air Comfort Service at my house this week doing a follow-up visit as they do twice a year with me because I'm on the preferred partner plan. That's not a huge deal. Anybody can do it. I pay a very reasonable price to Air Comfort, and guess what? I get 2 visits a year. Guaranteed. They come out, they check it in the spring, they check it in the fall, check the whole system, check the filter, check the air conditioner, the blower motor, all of that. Make sure everything's working properly for whatever season is coming up next. If they find something wrong, I get a discount on parts and labor. If I call them and I need service, I get priority service because I'm a preferred partner. You can be too. It's that easy. You just go to 314-513-0091. That's their phone number. I may want to put it on your phone under HVAC. That gets you to Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, and you're going to love what they're doing. Now, if you're shopping for something new right now, listen up. They have double Carrier Cool Cash rebates available. You might be able to get up to $3,400 in rebate money back in your pocket or off the bottom line. It's up to you. But call them up and ask. Say, I heard Mark talk about this. What does that mean for me? They've even got a quote tool right on their website. Check them out at aircomfortservice.com.
You know, Sean, I played 11 years basketball in NBA, and I know the rules. I simply got to put my up in the air, and I did not cross over the baseline or sideline, and we're not allowed to touch any players, obviously, the fans. So I didn't break any rules. So for them to come out and throw me out of the game and literally, they said his actions was equal to shooting a gun. I just cannot believe it. I don't know who is his PR person, but they're doing a terrible job. So we might be looking into a lawsuit for sure because this is unacceptable.
Capitol Beat.
We got Congressman Bob Onder back with us from the 3rd Congressional District. Bob, that was Enes Kanter talking about the fact that he has been banned from at least one WNBA facility up in Chicago. These people have completely taken leave of their senses.
Well, good morning, Mark. It's great to be back. Well, indeed, they have. Of course, this stems from Enes Kanter Freedom and another retired NBA player, Royce White, deciding that since the WNBA is not clear on what the definition of a woman is, they would like to be eligible for and to play in the WNBA. And as best I can tell from the media reports, Inez Cantor Freedom was expelled from that WNBA game. He had paid for a ticket. He was sitting in his seat, and his crime was that he was wearing a shirt that actually would have solved all the WNBA's problems. It had on it the words women, not like a dictionary definition, woman, noun, adult, human, female, which is what the WNBA cannot seem to understand. So all they have to do is adopt the definition of woman on Inez's shirt, and all the WNBA problems would be solved.
Yeah, wouldn't it be pretty easy? Now, I've heard some speculation that the reason the WNBA doesn't want to do that is that if they started doing DNA swabs, they might run into problems with some current players. So they'd rather just leave it alone. I think that Inez Cantor is going to go to court, and I think he's going to force their hand a little bit.
Oh, please. I mean, every time we debate this issue, for instance, in the House Judiciary Committee or the House Education Committee, they're always talking about DNA swabs and genital exams and all sorts of things. For heaven's sakes, in 99.95 cases out of 100, it's pretty obvious what someone's sex is. And that, I do want to mention, sometimes the transgender ideologues will say things like, well, there's intersex. Intersex is as common as red hair. Number one, it's not as common as red hair. But number two, intersex conditions, basically they're genetic or birth defects. So a Turner's syndrome women have a genotype of XO. Klinefelter's men have a genotype of XXY. But in both cases, they're clearly men and they're clearly women. They're just like Down syndrome, trisomy 21. It's a birth defect, a genetic defect. It's not. There's like other sexes out here that we didn't know about 5 minutes ago. So anyway, gender ideology is both insane but also dangerous because of the implications, especially for our young women.
Switching gears here to election integrity, because obviously we have the midterms coming up. I saw that it was an Obama-appointed judge who had just blocked the order with mail-in ballots.
Well, yes, it was an Obama-appointed judge that blocked the Trump executive order that the Supreme Court voted 6-3 in favor of President Trump's EO. And then yesterday, another Obama-appointed judge in Massachusetts essentially ruled the other way. I'm sure she in some way distinguished that case from the case that the Supreme Court had already ruled on. So it's really a little bit silly. So yeah, Trump's executive order, it's really ingenious. It would call for the federal government to compile lists of eligible voters from data states would be required to provide. And if states didn't comply to help confirm voter eligibility, got to be a citizen and so on, then the U.S. Postal Service would not deliver mail-in ballots to those states that weren't complying. So 22 states sued to block the order. Predictably, you could guess which states those were. But I really think this is a great idea. But more than anything, it underscores the need to pass the Save America Act and once and for all make it clear that non-citizens should not be voting in our elections.
How difficult would that be, though? I mean, for the executive order to actually have an impact, that's going to take some time to assemble those lists, correct? I mean, we probably don't have enough time between now and November for it to make a huge difference in these midterm elections.
Yes, in fairness, Mark, that's right. The election's just a little more than 2 months away, and this is a pretty big undertaking. But again, it underscores the need for Congress to once and for all, and by the way, the U.S. House of Representatives, I think we're up to 4 times now, has passed either the SAVE Act or the Save America Act to, again, ensure election integrity by making sure that non-citizens don't vote and to require photo voter ID in federal elections. We need to do that once and for all. The Senate needs to get off their rear end and pass it, whatever means they need to do it. But we are getting awfully late. So, once again, Democrat appointed judges running out the clock on us.
Especially because like you said, we have the midterms coming up. We don't know what's going to happen with control of the Senate and the House. You have these Democratic socialists who are winning across the country. It's not like it's just isolated to one part of the country. Obviously, the question is, okay, they can win the primary. Can they actually win the general? But I mean, does that concern you about the way that they have been able to win and what that could mean for control of Congress?
Yeah, Kim, really good question. I think in the short term, these Democrat socialists are such bad candidates. They are so insane that in the short term, it might be a good thing for conservatives, for the Republican Party, because our candidates are better candidates and might be able to defeat their lunatic Democrat socialist candidates. In the long term, though, I think it's a very bad thing for our country. Most Democrats in the United States House and Senate vote right with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and for that matter, most of them, their voting record is indistinguishable from AOC's or Bernie Sanders. However, some of them are reasonable people you can work with on some issues on the margins. These Democrat socialists are not going to. You're not going to be able to work with. Occasionally, I can work with, someone like just Missouri's delegation, someone like Emanuel Cleaver, or someone like Wesley Bell. But your Cory Bushes are just nightmares. So it's not a good development for our country that the Bolsheviks are taking over the Democrat Party.
Talking to Congressman Bob Onder, I saw where Nick Schroer has commented on this from the Freedom Coalition point of view on flock cameras. Senator Hawley came out and issued a statement yesterday regarding him. Where do you stand on the idea of these flock cameras in Missouri, Bob?
Right. I oppose flock cameras. License plate readers have been around for a while. I've never liked license plate readers, but their application was relatively limited. Flock cameras put the whole license plate reader issue on steroids, because they incorporate AI, they incorporate data from other databases into their flock camera license plate reading data. I know I just talked to some law enforcement people this week who say, well, they sometimes help us solve a crime, but I'll tell you at what price. Continual surveillance of every man, woman, and child in the United States of America is too high a price to pay. So I think we should ban flock cameras and similar technology.
Hey, I've got an idea for you, just since we're getting near the end of summer. How about we take a trip together? You bring your boat and meet me at Lake America, and we'll have a good time this weekend. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah, you're alluding to the fact that I live, Allison and I, when we're in Washington, D.C., do live on a boat on the wharf, not nearly as luxurious as Joe Manchin's boat. But yes, I'm not sure it's quite seaworthy to make it all the way up to Lake America, but I'd love to do it.
Yeah, You live on a boat during the summer?
Whenever he's in D.C.?
Well, not just during the summer. Whenever we're in D.C.
Wow,
and Kim,
okay.
in the winter when the water temperature gets low, the central heat doesn't work, so we have to use space heaters. So in weather like we're having in St. Louis today, it's really really great. You sit out there over the water having your coffee. In the winter, you shiver next to your space heater, but it's fun. Allison and I have liked boats for a long time, and it's neat. And then we live on the wharf area, which is a couple miles away from the Capitol, so it's nice to get away from the core of the swamp a little bit and get out of the boat.
That's fun. Well, Bob, have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Have a great weekend as well.
Talk to you soon, Congressman Bob Onder. I knew he was staying on a boat when he was in D.C. I just figured we could get it up to Lake America at some point. He's not sure it's seaworthy.
I just don't know if I could handle the constant rocking. I guess if you're living there for an extended period of time, you just get used to it. But I feel like anybody, even if you didn't typically get seasick, could get seasick from that.
Maybe it's on a pretty calm river, so I don't know how much
You'd still be
how much
rocking,
would
though.
be going. Yeah, but I haven't seen it. I have not laid eyes on it, but it's at the wharf, which is in a dock. It's docked in an area which is probably fairly well protected from the waves, I would think.
If you need dinner, you don't have anything in your refrigerator, you just cast a
a
line and there you go.
If you'd eat anything out of the river up there, I don't know. I guess you could. All right, coming up, Kim, what are we talking about at Kim on a Whim?
Probably fair to say many of us are really, really sick of being asked to tip everywhere. They turn the little machine around and they say, it's going to ask you a quick question, and then it suggests you tip at the minimum 20%. Why? Some businesses realize that so many of us are sick of it, and now they have a new idea. Maybe I want to get your thoughts on this.
Accident southbound 61 south of Highway A and a slow go behind it. Some moderate volume now along eastbound 64, Timberlake Manor, and again at Spady one more time, 170 through Big Bend. Westbound slowing Hampton through McCausland. And southbound 170, there's some volume headed for 64. We've got northbound 270, and there's some volume there. It's mainly moderate, but it's approaching Gravois up through the Clayton Road overpass, and a little bit of volume eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge right by Route 3. Westbound appears to be okay, at least at this hour. This report brought to you by I3 Broadband. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I could live on a boat, maybe in retirement. Wouldn't that be a good idea? I don't know if I could talk my wife into it or not, but kudos to Bob Onder, because I think that's fantastic. And he's not retired yet. So one of these days when you retire, what do you want to do? Do you want to take a cruise on Lake America? Do you want to travel the country? You want to travel the world? You got to be able to pay for it. That's what my friends at the Retirement Advisor Group do for a living. Bob and Tammy Kershaw help people ensure that their money lasts as long as they do. They're going to sit down with you and ask what your goals are. How much money you think you're going to need a month in retirement? What are you bringing in Social Security or a pension? How do you make that pile of money, hopefully, that you've saved up your entire life working in a 401k or a 403b? How do you make it last? Well, there are strategies you can use. They've been doing them for 40 years with the Retirement Advisory Group, and Bob and Tammy would be happy to sit down and help you out with that and give you their advice for free. They'll meet with you for free. Just call them at 314-993-9494. Tell them Marc Cox sent you, or go online to retirementkey.com.
It's so exhausting going anywhere, and you're just constantly asked to tip. And that stupid question they asked me that I'm now annoyed when I hear is, I'm going to turn this around. It's going to ask you a quick question before you can put your card in. We
quick
all know what
question.
the question is, all right? It's, do you want a tip? And then what's also even more irritating, it's just salt to the wound, is I've seen this in many cases where it starts at 20%, goes to 25, 30,
Yes.
35. Like, it's not, 20% is no longer
Yes.
considered like the standard. That's almost like you're cheap. You should not tip any less than 20%, regardless of how the service was. And then if it's really good, you should be tipping upwards of 35, 40%.
I saw that this week. I went to Four Hands out in Chesterfield with my son, went up to the counter to buy a beer, and when they flipped the screen around, it started at like 20 or 25. There was no 18 or 15 or whatever option on there. You could customize your tip, but the bottom one was 20 or 25%.
And they know that the average person feels that pressure where
Sure.
they're not even going to, not only do you not want to hit no tip, but you don't even want to take the time to hit other, because then they can see that you're typing something else in and that you're probably being cheaper. I remember the days of, well, first of all, not being asked to tip at the coffee shop where you're paying $9 for a coffee, but that you would start at like 10% and you'd go up to maybe 25.
If the service was good.
Max. Well, restaurants, I guess some businesses have realized that people are sick of it. So they've been trying to adjust the business model. So there are some companies, there are some restaurants in particular that have decided, hey, instead of allowing staff to accept tips, what we're going to do is we're just going to increase our prices, and we're going to tell people that what you see is what you pay. And it's funny because one business, I think it was out of New York, had said that they tried that, but they realized that it wasn't going to work and they had to go back to their old model, because the problem was if you're raising the cost of the food, so maybe your food's more expensive than the restaurant down the street, but you know you don't have to be asked that stupid question and tip, they realized that that's counted as revenue and therefore they have to pay sales tax on it. So it was actually costing them way more to pay the staff the higher wages. So they said, all right, we're going back to the whole tipping model.
I guess that makes sense.
We're never going to get away. We're never going to get away from this tipping thing. And if we think it's going to stop here, it's only beginning. I mean, you're soon going to be asked to tip your dry cleaner. You're going to be asked to tip your auto mechanic. You're going to be asked to tip everybody. And I feel like the more people ask me to tip, the more I don't want to tip you. Maybe that's just my temperament, but
yeah,
you tell me to go left, I'm going to probably want to go right.
So I just talked to somebody about this the other day who'd been to Europe. If you've been to Europe, it's an entirely different environment when you walk into a restaurant. But it's because they are all democratic socialists. Like, you could go to a situation where whatever your career is, for a lot of these people, being a waiter or waitress is their career. They don't live on tips. They're getting a salary and you're paying more for the food probably as a result of that. You also get less service, is my experience, because they're not motivated to do anything extra. Now, you obviously run up against people who are excited about what they do, and they're excited about life in general, and they're jovial, and they give you great service.
Or
But
they have
far
they have
more
values
often,
and they have integrity and they want to do a good job regardless of whether they're getting a tip. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, far more often, I found that you don't get any attention. Like, you don't get your drink refilled. They don't do that in Europe, generally speaking. They don't come by and ask if there's anything else you need. That was our experience in Italy last time. I mean, I love the food, I love the people, but if when you go to that system, you give up something as well.
Well, it's also irritating when some of these businesses are asking you to tip before you've received the service, because you might be thinking, oh, well, this will incentivize them because they'll feel like they need to do a good job. And sure, you will have some employees who do that. But I feel like a majority of them will think, well, I already got the tip. Doesn't really matter if I do a good job or not. They've already paid me, so who cares?
How do you handle that, Ethan, when at a restaurant? Are you a 10% if it's okay, 20% if it's perfect, or are you higher than that if you tip?
It really depends. I mean, if it's just regular good service, 20%.
I'm stuck at 20. I don't know. When I see somebody
20.
wanting a quarter of the price of the overall meal for a tip, I'm like, yeah, that's probably not happening.
I've only been to one restaurant where I didn't tip at all.
Really?
Yeah.
How bad was it?
We were sitting outside and it started raining. Now, it was covered, but we were sitting outside. They literally moved everybody else in except me and Stacy. And then they forgot we were out there. Like, we never got refilled. Nothing. I'm like looking around, and there were like 3 employees standing up on this deck watching us.
Did you get food?
Yeah, we got our food, but I was just like, I'm not tipping.
No, I don't blame you.
It's so
That's
awkward. And, Bindi brings up another point on Facebook saying also all these companies like grocery stores asking for a donation to some organization at a checkout.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
getting
that.
a little out of hand.
You
It
want to round
is.
up?
And they're like, do you want to round up for really sick puppies that have no future and they're going to die if you don't give them money? Do you want
Nope.
to do that? No, I would not. Thank you very much. Do you want to help
I have
sick
no
children
problem
who have
saying no, though.
happiness and joy in life unless you give this $5 and round up your grocery bill?
Nope.
And it's like they
I
don't
did
know. They don't
appreciate
know
the
where you.
roundup
They
for
don't.
Folds of Honor.
Okay,
I'll
but
say.
they don't.
Yeah, there are certain ones that I'll do, but for the most of them, like,
But it's exhausting, and they don't know. Like I feel like they don't know if you're tithing. They don't know that you're giving away a bunch of money to your church or to other organizations. And so you look like this heartless person when you're saying, no, thank you. I don't want to help this organization that is raising money for cancer, but it's just, yeah, it's intimidation. That's exactly what it is. It's a way to make you feel awkward and embarrassed and bad about yourself.
And if it
you
didn't
don't
work,
tip
they
and
wouldn't
tip
do
20%.
it. If it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. It's working.
No, I know. And that's
people are feeling it.
They're not
People
going to
feel
stop.
the
It's
guilt.
only going to get worse from here.
I don't. I do not personally feel that. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Adam Guillette. He is president of Accuracy in Media. You're not going to believe what they found when it comes to DEI in the University of Missouri system, all tucked away and hidden. We're going to get to that undercover video for you coming up. Stay tuned.
A verdict watch. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. People around the country are waiting to see what a Massachusetts jury will decide in the Lindsay Clancy murder trial for killing her 3 children. A second day of deliberations getting underway at 9 this morning.
This jury is comprised of 9 women and 3 men. The jury is anonymous and is only known to the court and lawyers. During closing arguments, the defense argued Clancy was in a state of psychosis during the killings and that lousy medical care drove her to the point where she experienced auditory hallucinations. Meanwhile, the prosecution argued those hallucinations are fabricated and that Clancy intentionally planned the killings and maintained control of her actions.
Fox's Nate Foy at the courthouse in Plymouth. Nepal and China resume rescue operations after the threat from a lake eases. 552 people are confirmed dead from the catastrophic glacier flash flood, with about 1,500 missing, including 90 Americans. And U.S. State Department spokesman Tommy Pickett tells Fox News American aid is on the way.
We immediately activated $500,000 in initial humanitarian assistance. I can now say those first assistance trucks are already on their way, and that includes life-saving food in order to get people the material they need.
President Trump's in Texas today to award 4 Artemis II astronauts the Congressional Space Medal of Honor. Fox's Peter Ducey tells us.
The ultimate showcase a president can have, standing alongside astronauts you sent on a successful mission to the far side of the moon. And the president's top ally on Capitol Hill says Republicans have been doing a lot on Earth, too.
We passed over 800 pieces of legislation, landmark stuff, to fix the mess that we inherited from the Biden-Harris years.
House Speaker Mike Johnson and its Republicans campaign saying they fixed the mess. Democrats say check your higher grocery bill, the cost to fill up your gas tank, and what's left in your wallet. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Man, hard to beat this weather here. 62 degrees, sunny, just a gorgeous start here on this Friday morning. Our time is 8:03, and here's what's making headlines on August 28th. Another scathing report for St. Louis Public Schools. A second state audit gave the district another poor rating, which is the lowest score a district can get. The audit found issues surrounding board spending, transportation, vacant buildings, and safety drills. St. Louis Public Schools says, well, those issues are already being addressed. SLPS will hold a public meeting this upcoming Monday evening to present its Future Ready plan to the community. 2 kittens were rescued after someone put them in a duffel bag and threw them from a moving truck onto Manchester Road. The 5-month-old kittens also appear to be covered in bleach. They're now recovering at the Humane Society. The kittens, they're said to be in stable condition but underweight, so not ready for adoption yet. At this point, no arrests have been made. 2 Berkeley police officers and 2 Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers are being credited with saving a woman's life after lifting a car she was trapped underneath. Fox 2 reports the woman and her 12-year-old daughter had crashed near the Interstate 70 and 170 interchange. First responders, they were able to break a back window to rescue the 12-year-old girl out, but then the mother's head was actually pinned underneath the car. So that's when these officers and the troopers were able to lift the car just enough to pull her out. She's now recovering in the hospital. All right, in sports, thankfully the Cardinals avoided a sweep yesterday. They beat the Orioles 7-5. Tonight, the Cards welcome the Pirates to Busch Stadium, kicking off a 3-game series. First pitch for tonight's game, that'll be 7:15, and then they'll be playing day games both tomorrow and Sunday to wrap up the series. And City SC hosts Dallas at Energizer Park tomorrow, 6 p.m. Coming up on 8:05, 62 degrees here downtown. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We've got a couple of accidents reported along eastbound 6440. One is at 141, and the other one is at Ballas, or just a little bit to the east of there. So watch out for 2 slow goes in that area. Once you get past Ballas, there's just some moderate volume approaching 170 through Big Bend. And westbound, most of the volume there is approaching Hanley. Now, eastbound 70 looks great. If you want to take that, there was a little bit of moderate volume at 270, but that was the worst of it. And southbound 61, that's a slow go. There was an accident south of Highway A, and that caused a delay. 44 eastbound, slowing right around Hampton, but it's just moderate volume. 55 is in good shape. And if you're headed in from Illinois, we look fine, really, along the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Our time is 8:06. We're at 62 degrees. Thanks for starting off your Friday morning with us. Hey, just as a reminder, you can always catch the Marc Cox Morning Show or any of our other shows here on 97.1 FM Talk. Listen to the show any time of the day, anywhere around the world. Love when you guys tell us you're listening from, we had someone tell us they were listening from Australia. Love it. Anyway, you can always catch the show on the free Odyssey app.
Welcome back into the Marc Cox Morning Show on a Friday, final hour. We're happy that you're here with us. We got a pretty full hour for you. We're going to talk more, of course, guns and hoses. Tickets are on sale, but before we know it, man, it's going to be up on us. It happens right the night before Thanksgiving, believe it or not, and it always sells out, and it's always a huge fundraiser for Backstoppers. We're going to talk a little bit more about this because they made a big announcement yesterday regarding guns and hoses, and speaking of people living in Australia, Kim, how people around the world pretty much are going to be able to watch this year if they want to, and not just locally on Channel 2 as they've always broadcast that. So we'll get to details on that for you with Joe Parisi, the ring announcer, the face of guns and hoses these days. He's going to join us here before the hour is out. We're going to talk to Joe Steiger with the St. Louis Police Officers Association. The Reardon Show had Mayor Spencer on earlier this week. I played you a little bit of that. She talked a lot about salaries for police officers and how she wants to increase them, but to do that, she wants to cut back on benefits. And as you can imagine, the Police Officers Union has a thought or two about that. We're going to talk to Joe Steiger here coming up at about 8:35, and we will get to Adam Guillette from Accuracy and Media, always doing great undercover work to find out just how you're so deceived by higher education these days, by our colleges and universities who want you to believe with a wink and a nod that they're not doing all that DEI stuff anymore, but really they just kind of moved it around and renamed it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We know they're not going to get rid of these programs because they're so entrenched into the curriculum at this point. They just have to find a way to be a little bit more sneaky about it.
Before we get to our top stories here, Will has chimed in here, Kim, on the Facebook page. I think Mark playing his guitar on air would be a good fundraiser for guns and hoses. Will, the idea is not to drive people away. So I'm not sure if that's true or not.
When remember you said you shaved your head all these years
I
ago?
I did shave my head for to raise money for Backstoppers.
Okay, well,
directly.
I mean, you don't have to shave your head. They're just asking you to play the guitar. And
but
your son Brad chimed in earlier and said that, yeah, you actually can play.
But before I said we're going to have people contribute to an account with Backstoppers, and when it gets to X amount of dollars, then I will shave my head. So it was $10,000 we raised, and I went to hair salon, and they shaved my head for me.
I still can't believe you did that.
I did.
I remember I had to see a picture because I didn't believe you.
Some heads need to be covered with hair. This is one of them. It was not a good look for me.
What'd your wife say?
Oh, she couldn't believe it.
She knew you were doing it, right?
She did. She was all in on it. She's a big supporter of law enforcement, just like I am. Her dad was a police officer, retired as a sergeant. But my hair has always been my hair. It's just always been a thing. And I, got voted best hair on a male anchor one time in St. Louis, and it was just always a thing. So the thought of me shaving it all off was rather shocking to everyone. But I did it because it's for a good cause.
Well, I feel like hair for guys is that's just a big deal.
Yeah. That's okay. It grew back fairly quickly, and the people at Hair Saloon gave me one of those visor caps that's got the fake hair sticking out of the top of it, so I was able to wear that to keep my head warm for
I remember
a few days.
this person does not live here, so I won't say the person's name, but I dated a guy who had some thinning, and so he would use that spray thing that you could spray to make it look.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at the lake, and he was skiing, and he fell, and when he got out, so he had to go get a hat. He didn't want it to be exposed.
I see.
Guess that's a thing that a lot of guys do.
It's a thing.
Maybe it's just some guys.
Been blessed to not have to deal with that. I've always had a thick head full of hair, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get to our top stories right now, Ethan, please. All right, you start.
So that's possibly why the defense attorney was dodging this and trying to throw all the medicines under the bus when there's literally only two that could be scrutinized here, Remeron and Trazodone.
Yeah, that's Dr. Mark Siegel talking about the Lindsey Clancy closing arguments yesterday. It's in the hands of a jury. I have to admit I'm a little anxious about the fact that it's taken them this long to reach a conclusion in this. It sounds like the defense might have planted some seeds of doubt in this jury's mind about her guilt.
I'm not saying the work is not being done, but we don't have a central office on here. It's not like it's not being done, but it's not called.
Yeah, that's part of the undercover video from Accuracy in Media. We'll talk to Adam Guillette coming up here shortly, where the lady goes, it's not like we don't do it. We just don't call it that anymore.
They want to talk about affordability. They voted to raise your taxes. They voted against the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history. Look at our border. The president inherited a mess, a wide-open border from the Democrats in the Biden administration. He sealed it on day one. We are deporting violent, illegal alien criminals from this country.
There she is, Miss America. We're going to miss Caroline Levitt, aren't we? I mean, I'm going to miss her voice. I'm going to miss her attitude. And hopefully they find somebody who is equally as good to put in there as White House spokesperson.
Congratulate Darlene Graham on her tremendous victory on Tuesday night. And she's sailing now. She's really doing great. She's still got to run against the radical left lunatic. And the South Carolina people are not going to stand for that.
No, probably not, President Trump. That is probably true. His endorsement certainly helped Lindsey Graham's sister secure the general election nomination for Senate in South Carolina, which means she is almost guaranteed to win. I did see some HuffPo article or something in the last day or two that says South Carolina Democrats now have a glimmer of hope. And I don't think that's true. The president's got enough money to throw at it if he needed to, but it's just one of those safe seats. He won South Carolina by almost 20 votes, or 20%, I should say, in the last election cycle. So probably not going to be an issue. The next question is, will he be able to save Michigan, and will be able to save Texas for the United States Senate? He went down and campaigned for Ken Paxton. Some people suggested that Paxton doesn't have any money in the bank and he's not a good fundraiser. And then somebody else said, well, it doesn't matter if Trump backs him. He's got $450 million in an account.
But Tallarico, I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, we have to take him seriously.
Only because the Democrats have flooded the market with ads trying to make this guy into something he's not. They just need to put together a montage of his silly comments about guns, about God being non-binary, about all that utter nonsense being a vegetarian in Texas, there's no way that's going to fly. They're not going to elect a beta male to the United States Senate in Texas.
I don't know. I'd like to think that they wouldn't, but crazier things have been done. And I think he's attracting a lot of people who might call themselves Christian conservatives, but they're maybe a little wishy-washy, or maybe they're like fiscally conservative, but then they're, I wouldn't call him that, but then they're socially liberal. In fact, I was thinking about this the other day because I had seen some article about having additional political parties, and they've tried that before, and I just feel like in theory, it sounds like a good idea, but it ultimately wouldn't work. But the only party that I could actually see people really liking would be something where they're fiscally conservative and socially liberal. Even though I don't agree with that, there's a lot of people who fall under that category.
It'll never happen. I can't envision in my lifetime there ever being a successful third-party candidate. I
don't think it's going to happen.
It's never going to. It's just going to hurt one side or the other.
It pulls it, and in fact, for whatever reason, it tends to pull the votes from the conservatives. I don't really know why. Yeah.
Bill Clinton became president because of Ross Perot. There's no doubt about that. Who, by the way, I'll point out in hindsight, was talking about stuff back then that Donald Trump is doing today when it comes to, trade and some of those other issues. Perot was on top of that stuff. There's no doubt about it. All right, a quick break here, and we will come back with Adam Guillette from Accuracy in Media. Stay tuned.
There was an accident on eastbound 6440 at 141. It's been blocking the left lane. We also have an accident on the ramp, kind of eastbound 64 at 270. They've got the right lane blocked there and some slow-moving traffic. That is the worst of it. 70 is still in good shape. We look good on 44, and we are quiet on the Illinois side and on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The time now is 8:19, and this time check is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. Get those Queen of Heart cards ready because we're going to be doing the drawing at 8:47.
Last year, Missouri banned DEI from higher education. But as we frequently see, the law means nothing to the radicals who run our universities.
I wanted to do like diversity, equity, and inclusion
work like I did in California. Is there still a place on campus that I would do it? That's what I'm saying. We don't have that office at all. Oh, okay. So that's what I'm saying. That office is none of that work is. Well, I'm not saying the work is not being done, but we don't have a central office on campus. Oh. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So different divisions, different places. There could be like a diversity committee or something like that, but I wouldn't have all of that and just tell you with the new administration. Everything. It's not like it's not being done, but it's not called.
That's part of the undercover video from Accuracy in Media at the University of Missouri in Kansas City. So what are the odds it's not happening at the University of Missouri St. Louis? I would have to ask. Adam Guillette with us this morning from Accuracy in Media. Adam, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, you suspect it. Obviously, you had somebody go in undercover and confirm what we've all believed is probably going on in these universities. They're playing a shell game.
Unquestionably. We see the same thing in state after state after state across the country. Even if they ban DEI programs by law, well, they just rename the program and print new business cards for each of the employees and continue wasting our tax dollars on this toxic, divisive activist work that's done in the name of supposed education.
So what are some of the other words, for example, that parents could be on the lookout for if they're looking through curriculum or class names or something like that, where it's actually DEI, but they're calling it something different?
Great question. Now, first of all, in most of the states that have banned DEI, they didn't even touch curriculum. They left curriculum entirely alone. So that not only enables the professors to push whatever ideas they want and requires students to sign on to whatever divisive leftist nonsense in order to get a good grade, but it also enables the researchers and the departments just to claim that their work is being done as curriculum as opposed to activism, which is what it really is. The departments get all kinds of names. It's unlike K-12 education, where DEI and critical race theory simply became social and emotional learning. In higher ed, they're much more creative. I guess they have more time in their hands, and they come up with a lot of different names for it, or they just put those employees in banal, already existing departments.
Yeah, we suspect this is going on. I guess the question is, it's great that we've uncovered some of it. I don't know when that particular video was taken, Adam, but has there been any fallout or reaction to it in terms of to the university?
So that video was taken earlier this year, and yesterday the university tweeted in response to our video and said, "Thank you for bringing it to our attention. The employee has been suspended." I assume she means the senior program manager, not the university student staffer. And she says, "We are and continue to be in full compliance with federal and state laws and directives," which is quite laughable because, first of all, that was 2 employees. And I've got news for you. There are more coming from universities across the state and potentially more coming from that university. So if you have multiple employees at your university doing this sort of stuff, that means the leadership is either inept or they're in on it.
Well, and they're not going to suspend, let's just say there's 10, 15 or more employees who are pushing this stuff. They're not going to suspend all those people. So you feel like maybe they're doing this saying, oh, yeah, this staffer was suspended, just to basically say, look, we're doing something about it. And then nothing really comes from that.
That's precisely right, because as we know, it's not that they're entirely incompetent. They are in on it. They hired these people to do these jobs. These are non-classroom positions which drive up the cost of tuition simply so that the equity officers and DEI staffers can work to embed the principles of DEI into every facet of education. Push this sort of things into math classes, science classes, and maybe they don't print it on the official curriculum so you can't find it, but they train the professors to make sure that they teach everything through a DEI prism.
Yeah, I would be interested to know what, for example, the governor's reaction would be to something like that, because obviously he signed the bill preventing that from happening. I've often suggested on this radio show over the years that the legislature never uses its full power over the purse to coerce and force these universities to get in line. All you got to do is withhold some money from them, and they're going to snap to attention.
Exactly. And a number of states initially passed really weak DEI bans that weren't worth the paper they were printed on. But after we exposed their administrators in state after state pushing this stuff in defiance of DEI or in defiance of state law, multiple states last month strengthened their laws. And I like the North Carolina ban. For any infraction in violation of their DEI ban, there's a $10,000 fine. And
Wow.
it specifically prohibits university employees from promoting identity politics. You can talk about controversial topics in the appropriate courses, but you should never promote it, and it doesn't need to be in math class.
Now they're going to swear them to secrecy if they give them that position and say, we're not calling it DEI, here's what your job is, but don't tell anybody, because if you do, we might get in trouble.
The officer of belonging or some other
Yeah,
stupid title that
exactly.
means the same thing.
And I love that they use phrases like belonging when, if you look at their political donations, like 95% go to Democrats. This is not an inclusive place. It's certainly not a diverse place. It's as monoculture as you could find. And if you don't share their far left views, you don't belong.
So do you think we'll ever be able to truly root this out? Because, I mean, even with Trump in office and threatening to withhold funding and all the things that he's done, and it has been effective to a degree, because you're talking about the fact that they can just change the words a little bit. Do you feel like this is kind of here to stay?
Well, what the governors need to do is appoint trustees or board of governors who are reform-minded and aren't go along to get along, people who want to restore these universities to focusing on academics instead of activism. Because right now in these public universities across the country, tuition costs have gone up from administrative bloat. And nearly all or much of that administrative bloat, it's just taxpayer-funded activists. They require major reform. The first step is a law like in North Carolina that addresses curriculum and has fines as well. But the most important long-term step is to wipe out entire departments of administrators, to wipe out degrees that will never get anybody a job in the world, except if they want to work again in academia. And as I said, to restore the focus on academics, not activism.
It's a great point. Adam Guillette is with Accuracy in Media, AIM.org. And on their website, you have a form to try to encourage more citizen journalism, right? Where people can help uncover these things.
They could submit tips, and they could also use our action alert where they can send one message directly to the relevant board of trustees for the university as well as state leaders. If North Carolina can get a handle on this with a Democrat governor, I'm sure it can be done in Missouri as well.
Well, you would think so. And I'm sure there are plenty of people listening that have students at University of Missouri St. Louis or University of Missouri in Columbia, and hopefully they'll uncover these things. Adam, always great having you on. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Adam Guillette, Accuracy in Media. Again, AIM.org, AIM.org. And you can go on there and you can find that form. It's right at the bottom of their main page. Help support us and empower individuals to take action. So you can reach out to them and they will tell you how they do what they do. And maybe you can help uncover some of this stuff. I hope so. All right. Coming up, Joe Steiger, St. Louis Police Officers Association. I reached out to him yesterday, and they're a little heated over what the mayor said earlier this week about salaries and all that. Their point is she should be having these conversations with us, not in the media. So we'll talk to Joe when we come back.
I'm Nicole Murray with your money now. A consortium of buyout firm Advent and payment processor Stripe has decided to abandon its pursuit of fintech pioneer PayPal. That's according to Bloomberg News. The payments company received a 60-50 per share bid from Stripe and private equity firm Advent International, which valued it at more than $53 billion. Workday reported a nearly 13% rise in revenue and said its AI solutions were seeing strong adoption and driving customer wins. The finance and human resources software provider has been embedding AI across its platform to automate tasks from payroll processing to financial forecasting. Cosmetics retailer Ulta Beauty raised its annual sales and profit forecasts, betting that marketing and product assortment investments would drive demand as it continues opening stores in the U.S. Net sales climbed 8.9% to $3 billion. Futures are mixed. Yesterday, the Dow gained 105. That's your money now.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code PROGRAM25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
We just had a report of some debris eastbound 70 past Wentzville Parkway. Watch for that on the left-hand side in the left lane. And a stall reported southbound 55 a little bit past Rivas Barracks, that one on the right shoulder. And there was a stall eastbound 6440 at 141 on the right side as well. Looks like that may have been cleared, but we still have a jam eastbound 6440 headed for 270. There was an accident on the on-ramp from 270 to eastbound 64, and it caused a delay in that area. We also have a little bit of moderate volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by I3 Broadband. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, if you find yourself stuck in or out of your garage, who are you going to call? You know, I'm going to recommend my friends at the Overhead Door Company. They're fantastic. I see them out on the roads all the time in those big white trucks with the red ribbon on the side. That's how you know you've got the original garage door company, the original overhead door company. 314-781-5200. Listen, when you've been around 100 years, you've seen a lot. So you're not going to encounter anything in your garage with your garage door opener or your track or any of that they haven't dealt with at the overhead door company. They were at my house most recently when a spring broke. That helps assist your garage door going up and down. So that's what you want to do. You want to reach out to them and say, hey, I need service. I don't want to be stuck. They will help you out 7 days a week, and there's no penalty connected to them doing that. Go online today. They've got a thing on there where you can get a $500 rebate toward a new garage door if that's what you're looking for. So whether it's service or a new door, you want to go to the Overhead Door Company in St. Louis. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. It's overheaddoorsstlouis.com. All right, welcome back. So yesterday on the program, 2 days ago, I should say, we had some sound bites on here from Mayor Kara Spencer because she had been on with Mark Reardon, and one thing she addressed on there was what to do about police salaries and whether or not that was something that needed to be addressed, and how you would address it. Do you increase pay? Do you cut benefits? What would that be? And of course, all of that conversation caught the attention of the St. Louis Police Officers Association. And we've got Joe Steiger on right now. And I called him up yesterday and said, hey, would you like to comment on this? And he said, absolutely. So Joe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Good. It's good to have you here. So I'm sure by now you've heard the mayor's comments. Give me your thoughts on some of what she had to say here.
Yeah, so it's frustrating that she continues to choose to air this out in the media. She knows full well that our organization is the exclusive bargaining representative for police officers and for sergeants. It's improper for her to continue to have these discussions in the media. If she wants to discuss pay and benefits for officers, she should come to the table, have that discussion with us, and she's not doing that because she knows her argument's flawed.
Let me play part of her comments for people who didn't hear it originally, Joe. Stand by here for a second. Here we go.
And that's right now we know we underpay police officers when you're looking at a national,
right,
or even the
local
average,
right.
Okay?
We talk about that
So
sometimes.
You should, and we've got police officers who start at $57,000 a year. Just a couple years in, they're at 63, 64, and look, this is less than the rest of the region. But what we don't talk about is what the actual cost to the city of St. Louis is. Our fringe benefits package is, I would argue, now we don't have numbers on this, and we should. The police board needs to go get these numbers because it's not a simple task, but we need to take a look at our fringe benefits package compared to the rest. I know what ours is. We're sitting at 115%. Okay, so our officers make $70,000 a year on average. That means we've got a fringe benefits package worth about $80,000.
Yeah, so she's arguing that that's $150,000 a year cost to the city, and she thinks you could raise salaries and cut that defined benefit package. What would that even look like, Joe?
Well, I would love for her to give $150,000 per year in a total compensation to police officers. But the fact is the figures that she's giving you are misleading. Just to kind of give you a couple of examples, there's retiree health insurance is a benefit received by the retirees. However, she is counting that benefit and the cost to an active police officer. They have their own medical benefit that's accounted for that. She's also counting the retirees, the pension system, calculating that into an active police officers. Well, that's accounting for not only just active officers, but you have 1,500 or more retirees collecting a pension. There's only 850 participants that are active. So she's assigning all of that cost to the active officers' benefit package, and that's just wrong.
I think what surprised me the most is you have a mayor who says, look, I'm in full support of getting the St. Louis Police Department back to being fully staffed, which would be, 1,000 officers, give or take? Am I right in that?
1,100 is what we're
1,100,
staffed
okay.
for. Right.
But then,
I would love to have 1,000.
That'd be better than what you guys have had for a while. But then you have her, fighting tooth and nail saying we can't give any more resources to the police department or it's going to cripple us over at City Hall and we'll have to lay people off. So I just don't know how you can make that argument saying we want to do this, we want to do that, but then every argument over the last number of months has been about money going to the police department.
Agreed. And for her to say that we would just redistribute this number she's come up with, the $70,000, $80,000 in benefits and move it to salary, it's just misleading. Because a lot of what she's including in the benefit package isn't discretionary benefits. It's not directly related to an active officer. So you can't just convert that into wages. So it's just a misleading argument.
Well, I know, Joe, that there are some things that you have control over and some things you don't. One of those is state control. I know the city is suing over that. Kara Spencer in this interview led people to believe that they are confident that they might yet overturn that situation where they would regain control of the police department. Is there a feeling within the ranks of which they would prefer?
Well, the ranks would definitely prefer to have the department under a governor-appointed board of police commissioners. And I can tell you there's several lawsuits that have been filed. The one in Cole County that Megan Green filed, the judge has already ruled and upheld that law is valid. So they're appealing that to the appellate court, and I'm sure the one here in the city that Mayor Spencer filed, I don't believe it's had a hearing yet, but I'm confident that no matter how these turn out, they're eventually going to end up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will provide that clarity on going forward. But I anticipate that the law will be upheld.
I wondered as well. I know that part of what the board did was try to give raises to administrative staff, or not administrative staff, but officers who probably aren't represented by your union specifically. It's sergeant and down. Is that correct?
Correct. But, I mean, we do have members that are lieutenant ranks, captain, majors, colonels. We represent them. We just don't represent them exclusively in bargaining.
I see.
So we were advocating for that. Also, we were advocating the last 3 years that we've been able to get some increases to bring police and sergeant salaries more competitive range. Those higher ranks have not received those. So there's a compression issue there. That plays to retention, right? We're trying to keep people here in this department while we backfill. The number of people leaving this department has slowed dramatically, and I think a lot of that has to do with the direction that's going under this board.
Yeah, I wondered about that. They do seem to be going to bat for more funding, and now you just got to – if attrition rates are true, I heard Chief Tracy yesterday say that a number of officers that had left have applied to come back. That's a good trend.
Absolutely, and as I said, the numbers we were losing hundreds of officers a year. That slowed down. It trickled. It's down to a trickle, really. You're going to naturally have people that reach retirement age that are leaving, but that mass exodus that we were seeing, we're not seeing that now. So that's a good thing.
I can't imagine that Mayor Spencer is a big fan of the Marc Cox morning show, given her stance on different things. But, I mean, what's the next step here? Because assuming she doesn't hear your response on this, on this show, where do you go from here?
Well, I mean, again, I would like to see her stop going into the media. Look, Megan Green, Mayor Spencer, they spent the better part of a decade demonizing the policing profession. No one wants to do this job anymore. And so cities across the country, it's not just here in St. Louis, they've had to increase pay and benefit structures for police to attract quality police officers and to retain them. So a lot of this is their own doing, and we're seeing the results of their actions. I hope if she's serious about trying to help us recruit, that she will come to the table, sit down with our organization, and let's have a discussion and not air this all out in the media.
Yeah, well said. Joe Steiger, keep up the good work, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. Absolutely.
St. Louis Police Officers Association, Joe Steiger there. Wanted to get him. I could tell he was a little fired up when I called him yesterday because he's a little frustrated that they're not having these conversations across the table, but instead in the media. And, I mean, I see it's part of a strategy to pressure the police board.
Oh, I'm sure. But, yeah, I mean, to hear it for the first time on the radio would be irritating.
And clearly it is. So anyway, that's his thought. By the way, Mark, kudos again to Reardon because he did have the chief on yesterday talking about some of this as well. And I'll repeat what I've said before. Chief Tracy has the respect of a lot of these officers, right? And that's not always the case because police chiefs, who were brought in by the mayor are often beholden to the mayor and not always making decisions in the best interest of their officers. Chief Tracy seems to be a cop's cop, is how some people have described him to me. And now that he's not under that burden of reporting directly to the mayor, but rather to a board of police commissioners, he's kind of been freed up to speak his mind and to even more proactively work on behalf of these officers. So I'm sure you can go listen to that interview that he did yesterday on Reardon's show yesterday afternoon as well. All right. Coming up, I've talked to you a lot about guns and hoses. We have got our Queen of Hearts drawing coming up, and we're going to tell you about some big news that they just announced yesterday when we come back.
Traffic is thinning out nicely this morning, and we didn't have too much to begin with. So if you are eastbound on 70, It's a little bit slow out in the Wentzville area, and then it completely opens up. 64, some volume right at 270. We had that earlier accident on the ramp from 270 to eastbound 64. There's still some volume southbound 170 at 6440. 44, a little slow at Kings Highway where they've got the right lanes down for some road work. And on the Illinois side, we are quiet in general. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Guns N' Hoses Queen of Hearts, benefiting the St. Louis Backstoppers.
So close this week, I'm telling you. The winner today is going to, let me see, the winner today will, let me see the dollar amount. It's going to get $25 on their $5 bet. It is an 8 of hearts from slot 27. So congratulations there. Man, the next person they pull the Queen of Hearts for is going to get half of the jackpot. It's up to $21,500. Half of that will go to the winner. Half of it's going to go to Guns N' Hoses, of course, benefiting Backstoppers. Go to stlgunsandhoses.com. You can buy your tickets there. They're $5 a piece, the cards, I should say. Or you can buy 5 and get 1 free, and then you have a chance to win. We got to be close to a winner here. I'm telling you, I just have a feeling. Go buy those tickets now at stlgunsandhoses.com, and best of luck to you. All right, so, we help out every year. In fact, when you go to stlgunsandhoses.com, let me point out, if I can, that it is the tickets are on sale already for the next Guns N' Hoses. Seems like the other one was just the other day, but they're working all year long, and they're already selling tickets for that event the night before Thanksgiving. We've got the face of Guns N' Hoses on the air right now. Joe Parisi, welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Wonderful, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. We are just 89 days away, if you can believe it.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the people who do all the volunteer work to get this going, that doesn't seem like much time at all. And thanks for all you do, and thanks for letting us be a part of it last year.
Oh, likewise. Odyssey has been a fantastic partner, and along with Fox 2, we've been able to broadcast the show to the St. Louis area for the last several years. It's an Emmy-winning broadcast, and I believe the reason you wanted to have me on today was to talk about the big news pertaining to that broadcast this year.
Well, it is because now anybody. Cause we had people listening to the show this morning from Australia, which is now that when you're out on Facebook and YouTube and all those places, that's a little unusual. But the point is, pretty soon, starting this year, people can see these bouts and Guns and Hoses and the feed all over the world, right?
Yeah, so the deal was announced to our volunteers at a meeting on Wednesday, and then to the public yesterday. Massive new television deal. Budweiser Guns and Hoses is going to be available in over 500 million households worldwide, absolutely free. If you have access to Amazon Prime, the Roku channel, Fubo TV, Dish, TiVo, LG, Sling, and many, many more, Google TV, you can pull up this channel absolutely free called Swerve Combat, and they will be airing Budweiser Guns and Hoses live. So not only does that tell the whole world and show the whole world about this amazing St. Louis tradition, but it gets the message out there that much further. I mean, this is a fundraising event, so the more eyeballs we can have on this show, the more money we can potentially make for the Backstoppers.
Think about that. $1 million was the check the last couple of years. Maybe it'll be even more this year. We're talking to Joe Parisi, who's the one of the main ring announcers there for Guns and Hoses. And let's talk about that, though, because I got to participate last year. I've been a fan going down there for years now. There are a number of bouts that take place prior to when Fox 2 joins with live coverage. Would the live feed on Amazon Prime and others like that, would it cover the entire event or just those main matches?
My understanding is it'll be the main matches, which is between 6:30 and 9 p.m. The doors open to the event at 4:30 p.m. and right about 5, we start with a couple of prelim non-televised matches. Those will be streamed through a pay-per-view platform called Millions. Millions is going to show the event absolutely free as well, so people will have access to those earlier bouts. But 6:30 to 9 is where you'll find it on Fox 2 and then all over the world through Swerve Combat.
We've talked to some of these first responders, and they've mentioned the training that goes into this if they're actually competing. And you think about now how much pressure they would have knowing that millions of people around the world could be watching them.
Oh, it's incredible. We've got so much interest from the first responders in the region. There's over 120 potential fighters who have registered and are going to be coming to the tryout. We call it the box offs, which happens in mid-October. And what it is they basically get in for about a minute or so, go head-to-head with somebody, and they're evaluated, and the matchups are made from there. So there's so much interest this year from all the different departments all throughout the St. Louis metro area. It's super exciting to see. And like I said, we're just 89 days away. So for anybody out there that is training for this event, I mean, they are in the thick of that training camp right now.
They are. So tickets are already on sale. You can go to stlgunsandhoses.com and check those out and hopefully get your tickets early because it usually sells out. And you want to be part of this if you've not done it before. Joe Parisi, thanks for all you do and keep up the great work. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Likewise, Mark. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Take care. I'd love to get Joe on here. And again, that's Swerve Combat, SWERVE, Swerve Combat. That is available on all those platforms that he mentioned, Dish, Fubo, TiVo, Amazon Fire, Prime, Sling. I'm sure you can find it just about – somebody's going to have just about one of those, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. If you have an Amazon Prime account, then you would automatically get the shows.
Yeah.
They're linked. So
well, good for them. That's a big deal. I mean, think about it. If there are more eyes on it, then you know what they're going to have that little URL up there that people can scan and donate if they want to. So I think it's great. Even if they get a couple more thousand people watching,
right.
The more eyes, the more money, and it's all helping Backstoppers. So, all right, that's going to do it for us this morning. Glad you were a part of it this week. Glad Kim's back on the air with us and feeling better. Maybe she needs a good long weekend of relaxation. You'll be even better next week. There you go. You too, by the way. Kilmeade's up next. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning at 5 a.m.